Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back live and in color, Wolfie D. And as I promised you, man, what a great guest we have. This is kind of like one of those, I finally got Jamie on here. It's like a person that is so enrooted in my heart and in my soul of the wrestling business and helped me out early on, met me early on, knows Airwolf. You know, he's one of the guys that'll say that to you. But he's also, Jimmy, you can give your opinion on this. There's about, I think, two people in the wrestling business while I was in it. I don't know what it is now, but there's two people that are like the most impersonated. Everybody can do a Tommy Rich. And you know how I want me to? You know, everybody can do a Tony Falk.
Yeah, Tony Falk.
And I just think that's, I mean, what an impression that makes on everybody that's around you and what he has done in his wrestling life as well as his personal life, and just being that guy that I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about. My next guest, Tony Falk. I love you. Thank you for coming on.
Well, brother, it's my pleasure. I'm glad we finally got everything right. And here I am, Wolfie D. It's good to be here, and I'm looking forward to this a lot, brother.
Man, thank you so much, Tony. I know you're busy. You do your thing, man. I mean, what are you doing right now? Last time me and you talked was, I think I seen you at the TNA pay-per-view. And then were you at the Ric Flair gimmick too? I think I saw you there.
Yeah, I was down there, but I don't know if I bumped into you. But I know it was up in Portland, Tennessee. Was it the Strawberry Festival?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There was days and weeks where I never didn't see you, man. Me and you. I mean, I'm trying to think, Tony, man. We met. Did we meet like in Shelbyville and stuff before I ever started working for the Jarretts?
I'm sure up there in Shelbyville, Tennessee, at the old Stadium Cap. What history that venue of all the big names that would hang out there and come in. People wouldn't believe me. But I think that's where it was. Maybe was you doing a hood gimmick or? Was you a medic? I mean,
that's what I'm saying though. Is you always say to me, you go, "Hey, Airwolf." So you had to have met me before that. And that's what I can't remember. And I know, but you're one of those guys, man, that I always remember Tony Falk could quote, hey, 1985 at the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas, at Everett Von Erich. And I was there and I seen it happen. And my son LT, he was there too. And we all saw it happen. And so that's what I remember so much about you. And I love about you. You can remember everything. Are you still to that place where we can, man, I want to ask questions, Tony.
It's a shame. And I have to admit it. The years has finally caught up with me. And I just turned 63 in August. And I realize it comes with old age. I'm not as sharp as I used to be on those dates. Like everybody tells me, Jeff Jarrett, same thing. Tony, but you go into detail. But no, brother, I'm not like I used to be when it comes to that. I'm sorry. I know
it's okay, Tony. It's okay. But I guarantee I can ask you some questions and it'll probably ring your memory.
Yeah.
Because this is the funny thing, and I've told my past few guests this. Like, I don't have nothing written down, Tony. I don't have nothing written down in front of me. I just know you, and I call it in the ring, is what me and Jimmy say. Jimmy's got a bunch of shit wrote down that he's going to ask you, but I'm just going to call it in the ring.
You damn right.
Okay, he's got some bullet points, but
he's like, oh, Wolfie's skipping around on this, that, and that. No, fuck that. I call it in the ring. Anyway, this is where we're going right now. This is where we're going right now. Tony Falk. You've been in the ring. You worked the Texas territory. You worked Memphis. Probably, would you say those are your two best places you worked and got to do your best shit? I would think yes. If it's different, tell me, because the follow-up question is both rough territories. Who's that son of a bitch you've been in the ring with and you were like, can this get over quick enough? Because I'm tired of getting my ass kicked.
Oh man. Yeah. The Texas out there, it also happened when I was young in the business one time, and I was in Florida. I just got to Tampa, Florida down there in '85, and they changed my name to Tony Wonder, and this Tiger Conway Jr., he didn't know who I was. I was just a young underneath heel, but I got out there in the match, and I started trying to call some spots, and he would just do them, but then he would start shooting on me, like tying me up and just the whole match. And I remember looking at Fonzie was the referee, and he didn't know who, and I couldn't wait for this thing to get over with. It was Tiger Conway Jr. But later, after they told him who I was, and that he knew I was, been around, from there on, he treated me. We had other matches, and it was cool. But that one match, man, I couldn't wait for it. He was tying me up every kind of way, and I never had no amateur wrestling background.
Yeah. What made Tony? I know I probably know this answer just from the miles you rode together, but what made you want to get into the wrestling business? And I love this question right now because I know I ask it to a lot of people, and listeners are going, he always asks this.
But it's always so different. The answer is always so different.
It is, but I know Tony hasn't been one to go out there and do a lot of these interviews, and so I feel like,
oh no,
he's going to say right now is exclusive. You know what I
mean? Yeah. I don't think it's people's ever heard this. We all have our stories to tell, but mine is a little different. From there in Paducah, Kentucky, and I'm sure most people know that's the Shoot Pally. That's where Tony Falk's really from.
Tony. That's the thing. Again, the impersonation starts out with Tony Falk from Paducah, Kentucky.
I've had so many like Raven and so many that's blessed. They've done left us. Like Brian and Eddie Gill. So many people, but they did some mighty good ones. But no, getting back to what you asked me the question. Yeah, it's a different story now. But in Paducah, Kentucky, where I grew up there in the projects, and my mother was her and my dad divorced, and I didn't really have a father figure, but we lived there in the projects. But they had wrestling every Wednesday night down in Paducah, and I would go with some friends that I went to school with. Junior Gage and his grandmother would take us and just watch. But then they had to sell out the arena, so over by the projects they had a baseball stadium. So they said, well, we're going to run this stadium so we can get a lot more people in there. So I went over there before they got there with the ring, and it was Ricky Morton's dad, Paul Morton. So I got to help set the ring up. And there in Paducah, and they would let us in free. I was like 12 years old, started putting the ring up. And then they had a TV channel 29 there in Paducah on Saturday, so I would go down and help. So I started putting rings up when I was 12 and 13, and I did backyard wrestling. Everybody talk about Mick Foley jumping off the house, but backyard wrestling's been around as long. There we was in the projects making rings, out of carpets and garden hose, all that stuff. But I got into that. Then Saul Weinroth, I met him after I got older there in Paducah. He was the booking, and I got it. Bobo Kelly was this guy that we did backyard wrestling, but he did gymnastics in high school, so we could do all the moves there, and he was like a Rey Mysterio. He's real short, but he could move. And back then, you didn't see a lot of that. But Saul gave us a chance, and I was a young guy. Now my story, I had my first match when I was 14 years old under a hood.
Earlier than me, and I think we probably talked about that. I mean, Joe got me in the ring and started training me with Pete and all that. In '89, I was 15, right about to turn 16, and then started getting in the ring. And another thing that just sparked my mind when you were talking, Weingroff, George, we've talked about him on here, and I've said how much of an influence he was on me. So his dad was an influence on you. Where was George at the time that you're talking about? Where Saul
he was in college, and then he became a school teacher. Actually, I talked to him just last week. I still talk to George Weinroth, probably a few times a month. But he came down, and I remember seeing him. He did some TV, but then he went on into teaching after college, and But I did hook up with them in the ICW days in the early 80s when they started running Paducah. He was involved with Savage and the Pawfos and the company, and it got me it was Randy who got me to become a full-time wrestler. He said, brother, if you're going to do this, you got to do it full-time. So I was a weekend warrior. I had my job there, and then 1982, I quit my job and moved to Lexington, Kentucky. And
now was that because what Randy said? I mean,
well, I've been wanting to do it. I had been wanting to leave, but I just I was around 21, and it was in 82. But I just, moving off my first territory. But luckily, it was in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was from Paducah, so a couple 100 miles. But it was an adventure to finally. I like working on the weekends, because I still could get in the ring, but to do it full time and what I wanted to do, and it was his encouraging, and finally I built up the nerve to quit my job. I'd been working at the concrete company for about 4 or 5 years, and I quit and moved to Lexington, and the rest is history. What a life.
Who do you think, though, like, once you really started getting going, because, obviously you were a few years younger than me starting. And then, so I have people that I could say, like, Joe broke me in, showed me this or that. And then I started working with, honestly, like Weingroff and stuff. And he kind of was putting it together for me, hands on. And then I'll always give credit to Danny Davis to teach me how to work once I got to Memphis. And then I say, like, Tommy and Doug taught me how to draw money. Rock and Roll did this, whatever. Who did that for you? Like, you learned the moves, you got going, says do this full time, but who taught you? Because you taught me, man. You taught me a lot. So, and you taught many other guys a lot. So who gave you that extra oomph? Because you know how it is. You can teach them to do flips, but you can't teach them when to do them and why to do them. So who got you there?
Well, early on, it was a local guy, but his name was Dr. Jerry Watson. He had, broke in there before Saul and him come, but even after they left, he had worked Malden, Missouri for Henry Rogers in them towns, but he helped me a lot. He would come in the ring, but also Dan Burdick. He had come down from Minnesota to Paducah, but he would go to Texas and work for the Funks and come back and go to Kansas City and work for Geiger, but they would help me. And another one was Rocky Brewer. But I didn't, you think the moves, and the holds, and
right.
But as you develop, as you go to the Pawfos, but it was up there, man, with the crew that we had, like Bob Roop and Bob Orton Jr. and Ronnie Garvin and Jordan and Hustler Rip Rogers, and believe it or not, Pistol Pit. I just a lot of those guys really, I would try to ask a lot of questions. But George Weinroth back then, even we would get in the ring when we could. He helped me. He was a stockholder, and him and Lanny was doing a tag team up there in the ICW. And so over the years, it's been many people, but I just tried to. And that's when I met Bobby Fulton when he come up there in the Pawfos. He seen where I was putting the ring up, and I would help. Randy would give me some finishes to take to, and when he couldn't, and I was giving out finishes and running the camera, and Bobby got me away from there. Luke Williams was booking in San Antonio in '84, and he asked Bobby to come on down. He said, well, do you need anybody else? I got an underneath guy. And they said, yeah, bring him. And man, I got away from there and went to San Antonio, Texas. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but Bobby Fulton, what a nice man Joe Blanchard was. And for me to leave Kentucky, because I was still in Kentucky, even though Lexington, we ran West Virginia, Illinois, but to go all the way to Texas. What a trip that was.
That's the funny thing, man. In my younger years, I was never scared to go, like, just move, just wherever I got to go, whatever. I ended up, most of my time was in Nashville, but there was times I lived in Kentucky, and I've been down to Tampa, and it's like, I don't know, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want to go nowhere.
I can identify with that. Yes, absolutely. As you get settled in, and
we were crazy back then, man. Me and you, man, I can remember some stuff that we will not talk about, but man, me and you.
That's right, Kate.
Fucking say, man.
Amen.
Jimmy, I need you to get in on this conversation.
Honestly, I have a permanent smile on my face right now. Y'all talking about the history. Tony Falk being on our show. Wolfie D, we were 80 shows into this podcast, and who is one of them, other than Jamie Dundee, other than Randy Hales, who is one of them that we've always wanted? It's Tony Falk. Right?
Always been Tony Falk from Paducah, Kentucky.
So you know what's funny is you were talking about it a little bit, and you were talking about ICW there and the Poffos, and I read online that you were working against a guy called the Miser. Now, obviously, anybody who knows their stuff knows who that is, but talk a little bit about the Miser.
Man, I worked him a few hundred times. I know. I don't know. It was, well, he was, and he helped me. Angelo Poffo, just think. Yeah. The Macho Man's father. I tell you, them two, Randy just idolized. I mean, he loved his father, man. We made many road trips, many road. But and Angelo would still do those push-ups and those setups. I mean, this man held a world record in doing consecutive setups. 6,033. He had broke a world. Angelo Poffo, but he was wearing the hood as the Miser.
Which is such a company. Which everybody knows that Randy was kind of cheap, or he was tight. Let's just call him tight.
Well, it was in his DNA then. He got it from his dad. But Angelo, believe me, Angelo, I wish I'd listened to him a lot more. And a lot of wrestlers I bumped into over the workers have said, man, we wish we
Tony, time out. I promise you have listened to someone on being tight, because I've worked for you. So I know how that goes. But
yeah. Well,
Tony, continue on.
All right. Well, I had to get tight back trying to survive. But no, in the early days, what he was saying, it's not how much you make, but how much you save. He had it, and Angelo did exactly that. And he taught his sons. I remember Laney was, had bought they had stocks and certificates, bonds, and he was like 27. He done bought him $100,000 CD or something back then. This is when I worked for them up there. But they would get the newspaper out and check the how their stocks were doing, even when we made them road trips. But the Miser, he was in shape, you know what I mean, and at his age. But he would wear that hood, and I'd hate when people those chops. He was a chopper, believe you me. And when you get a certain age, gravity takes hold. Your body, it just starts sagging a little bit. And if they seen, they would holler, "Oh, look at that old man!" And man, the minute people on the front of around ringside, I know, man, he would get fired up and next thing, who you calling on? He would throw me out there on the floor, and he'd come out of that ring and pick me up and just light me up with those chops, showing those spectators. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of chops, I think we mentioned this before on here. Me and Jimmy did. Who do you think? Because I've had a few people that can light it up, man. Who chopped you the hardest, you think?
Okay, I've been in the ring with, and I always say, and these are three of the toughest men. We, in the wrestling business, there's a lot of tough individuals, believe me. Yeah. But I'm talking about the one up there in the Poffos was Ronnie Garvin. Garvin and Flair. I had babyface matches with him, and he would chop. And same thing, George Wanderer. We still talk about that, how Garvin would love to light us up with his damn chops. And then when I come here, Gypsy Joe, the hardest headed, and same thing with the headbutts, Garvin and Joe. But there was another one, and he liked working me. This other one who I knew, man, he stretched a lot of people, but in Louisiana there, he I guess I knew his brother from San Antonio, Brett Sawyer. So I'm talking about Buzz Sawyer, Mad Dog Buzz. He had some good chops, but he never really hurt me. He just would, light me up with those chops. But we had some matches all around the loop down there in Mid-South, and the man never once hurt me. And that's another one. I think he was like 33 when he passed away, Buzz Sawyer. But what a worker! What a worker!
Yeah, what a worker! Him and Tommy,
man. Yeah, what a history they had down in Georgia, right? Georgia Championship Wrestling on WCW.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Tony, because we kind of got into that. Have you ever, I mean, I don't know if you told me this before, but like, tell me like something that went down. Like I've been in a couple of shoots and I've been in a couple of like damn near riots and shit. And you probably know some of the ones I'm talking about, but remember Eron and me got into it and then because Jeff them gassed them up or whatever. But what's one for you, like back in the day?
I think I was at that show.
Yeah, I think you were too. That's why
I think I was.
Yeah, and you were probably there when Bill tried to stab me, and you know
I missed that one.
He said I missed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he didn't succeed. Yeah, I'm glad it. Yeah.
Anyway, my question was, in the ring, shoots. Anybody tried to shoot on you? Have you been in a riot type situation? Any kind of crazy shit like that?
Oh no! Other than that thing, that's more or less like the Tiger Conway that I was telling you. I've been real lucky. It's been so good, but except that he would just shoot. He wouldn't work. I was there to make him take the bumps, get the match over. But no, I've been real lucky. But I remember one night we was in Jacksonville, Florida, while I was in Florida again, and I was watching from the curtain, and it was Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
The old Hercules, yeah. And I think it was Jesse Barr versus Billy Jack and Wahoo. And something happened in there that Wahoo hurt when it sell, and them two kind of got to shooting in the ring. They, you can tell when they're shooting and not selling. Right. And it was Hercules Hernandez and Billy Jack.
Oh man,
it wouldn't have watched.
Wahoo.
Yeah,
my bad.
I bet
that whole name. Yeah, I like to see them all.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's a couple that you're leading me in a perfect direction, Wolfie D. This is kind of where I was wanting to go with this. So there's two of them that are kind of legendary that we've heard about. One of them kind of straightened out a young kid. The other one was two veterans just whooping on each other. The first one I want to hear about is Coco Beware and Steve Kern. Were you there for that one?
No, and I've just listened. I've listened here in the last 6 months on the podcast from a couple different people about that right there. It happened in Nashville at the Babyface locker room, right at that little small in Nashville. Now that's one. Let's go back. Coco.
Yeah.
When he started, he's from Union City, and we knew each other when we was like 16 years old. We're right at the same age of 15. Well, he was driving, so we worked each other up there in Paducah and in Union City, Tennessee. Frazier, he was with. Remember Uncle Elmer Plowboy Frazier?
Plowboy, yeah.
Well, he ran Union City, and he helped Coco, I guess, get into business some too. I knew him from Malden. I knew Coco from Malden, Missouri. But anyway, we go way back there. And once again, like I said, Bobo Kelly was not too tall, neither is Coco, but man, he sure know how to fight. And the way the story goes out there, and I wasn't there that night, but they said he put it on Kern. That wasn't the outcome that Kern was thinking he was going to have.
We love both guys, by the way. We love both guys.
Right, great, both guys, exactly.
Yeah.
Just something that had to happen.
Now, there's another one that I think you probably were there or probably were around. It was the Dick Slater and Sting.
I was already in Tennessee. Now, see, that's getting back. I worked him. He come in to take the book over, and that's another one that was so nice. I worked him all around. He had Dark Journey with him, and I worked him all around. He was a pleasure all around the loop, when he first come in, because he was taking over the book down there. But that happened after I left, because Sting, but I missed that one. And you hear so much about that. They talk about that one, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't really know what happened.
Right,
maybe it was.
Well, we could take a different path then.
I wish I could shed some light on it, but I won't.
It's no problem. No problem.
But let's get to the truth on this, because I know you know the deal.
Yeah.
So you were there for the E-Run thing. Tell me the truth. It was, I swear, man, because this was a show where it was a spot show on
It was a spot show up in Kentucky.
Yeah. And I just felt like, because like me and E-Run were cool and shit, but it was kind of like he wrestled in high school, so did I. Oh, you can't take me down. Yes, I can, blah, blah, blah type of thing. And it was when the dressing rooms were still, it was a show where they weren't connected. And
Yeah, people don't
I
understand
feel
that.
like totally that Jeff and Frank gassed him up to go shoot with me. That's what I feel like. What do you know about the situation?
Once again, now come on now. I'm telling you, this is shoot, Pally. I don't really. I mean, it sounds like Frank might have had something, or maybe Jeff and Frank, but I don't know. I really don't.
Because remember they were doing.
But I remember that town almost. Okay, I'm trying to think. Was it Livermore, Kentucky, or
Man,
somewhere
I
up
have
around?
no idea what the town was. The only thing I remember was being in the ring, and I knew he was ready to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we didn't. It wasn't like a punching thing. It was just like something. I can't remember whether. Probably Frank got in the ring as the ref and said you can't take him down, and then tells him the same thing, and that's what it got into, was us just trying to take each other down. There was no spots, there was no headlocks, lockups, nothing. It was just shoot wrestling right then. Boom, boom, boom.
Right there.
And he couldn't get me down, and he got frustrated. And then Jamie was on the outside. When we would work for those little spot shows at that time, we'd come to the ring with each other, whatever. So I roll E-Run over to the side of the ropes as we're doing this grappling thing. I just roll him over and kind of dump him out of the ring. Well, then Jamie does something, and then it turned kind of into a shoot. And then the next thing I remember, it was E-Run grabbed a chair and he threw it at me. Man. And then charged me as he threw it. Is like he threw it for a distraction, right? So I got to catch it. Yeah. But then he's charging me low, right? Boom! Wow. I go back on the bleachers. Well, then here comes Jamie with the hubcap, and not doing a working hubcap with flattened on the head. He's using the side of it in dude's ribs.
Man, that's how you get a broke rib. Wow.
Yeah, and I think there was a punch thrown after that, but then E-Run calmed down after that. When he knew, I mean, there was two of us out there, and we weren't going to let each other. He couldn't take me down, and it frustrated him. So then he wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that was somebody had to gas him up, but the fans didn't know either. The people that paid their money to buy a ticket to see a good show, they probably wonder what the hell is going on here. Maybe when you got out of the ring and did a little, with the hubcap, a little brawling, they might have. But yeah,
might have bought him back there. But
yeah,
I thought you were over there and might have known who gassed that up.
Yeah, well, you might be right. I can't say for sure. But somebody, if Frank, O.H.W. Morrell was around, something.
You know how many times he ribbed me, man? I mean, you were even talking about that the other day when we called to set this up. He called me Whoopie. And then do you remember, Tony, that I swear this was him and Jeff. When I first started, they would make up different names on the card. Because usually me and Jamie would do a tag, like I said, and then some singles. But it would be Wolfie B or Whoopie D, or each week it was some similar sounding name to Wolfie D, but it was
really
Wolfie D. And I swear it was then, man. I swear it was.
That was probably a rib. Yeah, you know how those old timers. But
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. I love that. That broke me in. Like these guys today, they're not getting broke in the right way.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They don't know what the business used to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was working territories and traveling and just it's a whole different thing.
The internet killed it, Tony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of done that.
We got to be part of it, and that's what I tell people. I'm just so happy and so blessed that I thank all the fans when they come up to me and say, "Tony, thank you for the memories." And I said, "Well, I hope I did my job." I said, "Y'all are the best fans in the world, right? Professional wrestling fans, and I got to live my dream many times more. I used to dream about it there in Paducah, and I got to do it early, but to go places." I mean, I go back there sometime and I see people that never left that I went to school with, and they had the jobs and raised a family. But I did get to go out and see. Like, I wrestled in the Superdome Thanksgiving night, 1984. I tell everybody, man, I could not believe it. I wrestled Buddy Landell. I still got the program when Watts was running those shows, and I was like the second match. But I can say I wrestled in a big, large Superdome.
It's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's the way I feel. I mean, there's a few places and a few things that I can say, you know what? I did that, man. I did that. And I love that you feel the same way.
You, Wolfie D, an example of all the people that I say it takes a village to raise a child. But I can look back and say I'm so proud when I see your body of work that you've done in the business, and know that I knew you up there at the stadium cab and watch you grow and continue to grow, and all the things you did and accomplished in the business. I take pride in knowing that even if I helped you just a little bit, or just seeing that you did so much, you know what I mean? And I know your mom and your family was stepdad, everybody was proud of you, but and not everybody can do this. Some people are just natural. And Jimmy, remember when I talked to you the other day?
Yes,
and
sir.
I told you about some of my last best matches?
Yeah.
I think I named maybe 3 guys that I can remember when I could still. Wasn't Wolfie D one of them?
Absolutely. He probably was
down
the first.
in Columbia, Tennessee. Yep.
Yeah.
But Wolfie, I'm proud of you too, brother. I'm glad I finally got to come on here. And I don't know if I ever told you, but you accomplished quite a bit. Yeah, you did a lot in the wrestling business.
You're hitting me all in the heart right now, Tony.
Wow. And you survived it too. Now you a survivor too. So that's another thing.
Speaking of my heart, yeah.
you still here, brother. Me and you both. So
listen, man. I've got cold chills right now. Thank you so much, Tony. That you don't understand how much that means. You don't understand how much.
Yeah. Well, that's a shoot, Pelly. I know you. You love the business just like I did as a youngster, and you want to got in it. And you got to do so much, and you accomplished, but it's still the business. We go around like the other night. I was at that show, and Jeff Jarrett and Doug Gilbert and George Goulas was up there, and I'm thinking, man, of all the history in Tennessee with the Goulases and the Jarretts and all there, I'm in a 2023 in a building with those guys.
Absolutely.
Hey, think about this real quick, man. Let me ask you. Because we're just on, and because you hit me in the heart, and I can say what the fuck I want right now. What is it you're like? Okay, I got to be at WrestleMania with the Nation Domination. Didn't get to wrestle in it or whatever. Took some bumps in it or whatever at the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago. That should be to a lot of people. They're like, oh, was that your best, memory or whatever? But for me, no. It's not. It's being at TV5, and then also for me, it's being main event at the Nashville Fairgrounds because that's where I grew up. And
absolutely,
I have a certain memory of a certain match, and I've talked about it on here. It was a cage match or something, and it was packed. And when I stood up on the top of the cage, the whole crowd. You know how that venue is; they're all around you.
All around. That building was built for wrestling. Yeah, that fairground.
And so when you stand up on top of a cage, it's like the people upstairs are standing up the level that you are and stuff. And it was the biggest rush ever. And I dove off and I went through a table or something with Tracy, rest his soul. But anyway, my point was, man, what venue gives you that love, do you think? What meant the most to you?
Well, it's it goes back to we grew up in Tennessee wrestling, when I was a kid, and it's funny, a guy that I had his first match, Jeff Jarrett, years later in Memphis at the Mid-South Coliseum, he gave me one of my best matches ever. And Brian was in my corner because it was where Jeff had done beat me in a hair versus hair match. So they shaved my head. So we had this guy that we had to play the role as my father, and his hair was going to be on the line. So if Jeff won, we shaved Tony Falk's father's hair. But if we won, we shaved Jeff's hair.
What would this
Brian
be about?
Out there, we had Brian Christopher. and that was at the Coliseum. Brian Christopher was in my corner. So in reality, Buddy Wayne bragged it for years. In reality, people would know that Jeff Jarrett no way was going to lose his hair to Tony Falk, right?
Right, exactly.
But part of suspended disbelief where the fans got so how we had Brian in the corner and they thought maybe they're going to screw him, maybe they're going. But that match and Jeff had me going and kept come on, Tony. A couple of times we had to grab a rest hold because I blowed up and he said then we get my win back. But he gave me one of my best matches ever at that Mid-South Coliseum. You know, I didn't get the opportunity. You know, I'm happy with what I was able to do and help build people up. You know, a carpenter, people, you know, knows the role. I wish I would have went to the gym more, and that's what Jeff and many people say. Tony, you was your own worst enemy. If you had worked out and looked more, Shawn Michaels wrote about it in his book right over here. I got the book. He says that Tony was, you know, but that's going back. But you know,
hey,
so
let me tell you this. I was going to say this earlier. The one person that has ever preached to me, and I'll never forget the lines that you always said to me, and not you were saying it like to help me, not because like you thought I was overweight. Obviously back then I was skinny, but you would be like, Wolfie D, tan fat looks better than white fat.
That's what Jeff was saying the other day. Tony, you know, because Frank had said that. But getting back to the muscle, you know, the look like an athlete. That's what Shawn was saying. And I wished I could have done it, but I didn't do it. But you know, but I know that I helped those guys, and I could make them look better than they could make themselves. If they was green,
you helped me.
If they were green, and I could help them. So, from you know now you Wolfie D, Jamie, you know, second generation, but and you and him here in Tennessee and wherever. But you got with the booking and with y'all's ability to get over and with the gimmick and all, y'all drew money and I was not in a position where I can say, I mean, y'all sold that fairgrounds. I remember y'all worked Doug and Tommy and different people. So you have memories, but my memories, you know, I was in some of them people that were Tony wasn't in no main events. Well, I was in a handful, like one time in Memphis because it didn't draw too good, but it was me, Dundee and Landell versus Lawler when they turned Joe LeDuc babyface. A young Jeff Jarrett, very young, only a month into business. They had Jeff and Lawler and Joe LeDuc versus us at the Mid-South Coliseum. I guess we did it all. And a few other times. I got the programs, the souvenirs, you know, the inserts, the show. Yeah, I was in a couple main events out there. But
let me ask you this, though. Hold on. And I hate to hear you say that, man, because it's almost like you're like downplaying yourself or something.
Oh no, I'm just
no. Listen, as far as main events, or whatever. I mean, whatever. I swear to God, no matter how many main events, you know, that me and Jamie did or whatever, I feel like there's a lot more people that know your name than know mine, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You can't tell me that Boy Tony and stuff didn't have matches that were remembered.
Oh, yeah. Well,
been or not, but everybody remembers you doing that gimmick too.
Yeah,
they come up to me. They still last year and the year before down there at the Memphis Hall of Fame when I was the people once again and that character, the Boy Tony, and that was Jerry Jarrett. I come up with called me when I had gone from here for, I guess, the Booker switch, and I got cut. So I was in Paducah, and he called me up and said, Tony Falk, where have you been? You want to come back and work? I said, yes, sir. Well, how does this sound? Boy Tony. And I said, what? He said, Boy George. So he said, call and order you some pink tights. He gave me and I called remember Carl and Hildegard, K&H it was.
K&H, man.
You heard that. Nobody even knows who K&H is. Yeah, but they made the tights.
I'll never forget Pete when I was, probably 15, right before I started getting the business. I got a K&H catalog, man.
Yeah.
Coolest motherfucker in the world.
I've been there. I was young too in Paducah, man, and had some samples of all that from the wrestling office in Paducah when I was like 14, and they sent them a bunch of that shiny, them green capes and jackets, and I had all that. But then this is a shoot now. In '85, I gave a catalog to a guy who was training, and once he started working, he became the name of Lex Luger. But I gave him the catalog to order his first pair of trunks, really? And he couldn't even get them past his thighs.
White catalog, wasn't it, Tony? A little black and white.
It was just black and white. But it was but he had a narrow waist. See, Luger was pumped up even from the football. The pro, and then he come in to get trained, Matsuda, and we trained him. I was there on Mondays and Fridays helping him when he first time he ever got in the ring there in Tampa, Florida. I was there. And I seen him in September and at the Starcade. I seen him and George Weinrop. I said, "Come here, George." And Luger, I said, "Tell him." And Lex, and he smiled. He said, "Yeah, Tony helped me. Tony was the first one." And because Matsuda would just sit there and watch and guide coach from the side, But he was a big dude, man. Luger was big. Like I said, even when he got started in Florida, but he went on to make big money in the business, and people still talk about him. I was there at the beginning, so there's another name I can put out there and they know who I am when I come up. They smile and give me a handshake or a hug. So I'm happy that I got to do what I did and had so much fun, and I'm a survivor. I'm still here.
Tony, you're the best, man. I'm telling you.
Straight up.
So, you brought up Lex Luger. Were you there the night of the epic or not so epic, really? The cage match?
I knew where you was going. No, I think I was in Puerto Rico or something. I was somewhere, but it took years later. In the last, maybe 3 years ago, I watched it on a DVD somewhere. No, I wasn't there. And he was real green. He didn't know what to do, I guess. And I've seen some questions, I guess I've seen some, he just didn't know what was happening in Fonzie. What a referee he was. Bill
for sure.
The Brody cage match, right?
Yeah, the Brody cage match.
Yeah, well, it was, and Luger had to climb out of the cage.
Yeah. But you worked with Brody, I'm sure.
I worked him a couple of times in Texas. He's the one that brought Boy Tony into Dallas. He and Buck Robley was booking, and that was in '87. Yeah. And once again, I done dropped this name. I done dropped this name before, Bobby Fulton, and I'm gonna drop it again. I was here in Tennessee and doing Boy Tony, and we all know part of the business is we got to rotate talent, so sooner or later you're going to get your notice. And Randy Hales had to give Boy Tony his notice at Jonesboro, Arkansas that time. Boy Tony had to run his course, so I had a downtown Bruno, what they call him, Harvey Whippleman. Yeah, he helped me edit a bunch of Boy Tony stuff together. We went and rented a VHS to hook up to our other one and made, so we could edit. And I sent this tape to Bobby Fulton, and he gave it to Brody, and Buck Robley was helping, and that was in '87. And they called me on a Tuesday and said, when can you be here? And Friday night I was out in Dallas and Eric Emery was doing that gimmick, flamboyant Eric Emery, and here come Boy Tony. And we teamed up that night, and we worked Brody. We went over in a tag tournament to get a shot at the Fantastic. So that guy helped me so much different times over the years. And I talked to him just 6 months ago. Bobby Fulton, he's had a lot of health scares, but he's doing better. His cancer's gone, and I'm so proud. I need to call him here, but he did. I always said, Bobby Fulton, man, if I ever win that,
we'll get him on here with us. If you
love to,
you need to get him on. Y'all need to get Bobby on some. But I told that man, if I ever win that lottery, Pally, I'm gonna make sure I reward you for all them times you helped me out.
That means a lot. Well, you talk about Puerto Rico and Brody. Obviously, put two and two together there. Were you there the night?
Yes, I was on that show. Yeah. It was in Bayamon, but that's why when people nowadays, they think all those locker rooms connect, but they don't. And then them days, like Wolfie said, in them spot shows, we were in the Hills was on one side of the building, the Baby's on the other, right? Wolfie, the baby face, and you and Eron had no communication, and that's how in the big baseball stadiums over there in Puerto Rico, we was in Bayamon, and the Hills was over there, and the Baby Faces was over here. So no, I was there that night that it happened. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. July the 16th.
I'm sure there's nothing you can even.
No.
It's not much to say. Yeah, just a bad night for sure. Did that change your mind on Puerto Rico after that? Did that make you think differently?
Well, I was, and Jose, the booker. Jose was the booker. He had given me my notice once again, a month notice at the end of June. He said, "Amigo, I'm gonna have to finish." So on July the 30th, I done had tickets. We was leaving on August the 1st, so I was already leaving. So this happened right there in the middle of the month. They asked me, could I stay a little longer, and I said, "No, I got to go." But it was just something. I've never been back. Wolfie,
did you live at the
Wolfie's
Dahlia?
been over there. What was that?
Did you live at the Dahlia?
No, we lived out there by the airport. Roberto Soto, that he was in. What was his name? Roberto Soto. He was Invader 2.
Okay.
Yeah. He had a place in Bobby Jaggers. I was with Bobby Jaggers and Dan Crawford. They were doing a gimmick called the Kansas Jayhawks, and when we stayed out by the airport out there, and just a few blocks away from the beach.
I guess me and Jamie and Brian Lee, we got stuck at the place we'd always heard about, the Dahlia, and I know you've heard about that.
Oh yeah,
the cockroach.
Vegas, I remember you.
Thing and
Y'all was, well, it used to be the Tanner Mall down there in Convert. Verde and Condado.
And then I had my icy hot incident.
I heard that. Yeah, we've heard that over the years. You and that icy hot gimmick thing. But I hadn't been back since then. But no, Carlos was a great guy to me. Jovica. Jose was a booker. Yeah, Jose was the booker.
Jovica's the one I speared at a WWE event one time because we went into the restroom and I was partying. We were in WWE and I was partying and walked in there, was using the restroom, and he had to make a comment because he was at the urinal next to me and I didn't like it. And I speared him, and Road Dogg had to pull me out of the bathroom. So yeah,
damn,
yeah, seriously,
funny stuff.
Oh, yeah. See, little Victor, he was there. He was so cool. He's in the office. He went on to own his own companies over in Japan and over there, and but he was just working in the office. He was a stockholder, I believe, but so nice little. I was there, and for a while our roommate was he's just doing his retirement match, the Great Muta.
Oh,
Muto.
Man.
Yeah, he was a super black ninja. We made many road trips and lived together there for a while. He used to feel LT kicking around in Candy's stomach when she was pregnant. He would put his hand on LT and Muto. Yeah, now he's had a long career. These are people that I wished over the years I could have got to see and bumped into. Jimmy Suzuki always used to say, "Hey, Tony Falk, Muto say hello," or this or that. But I never got to see him after all those years.
Yeah.
Jimmy Suzuki. I remember him. He's pretty cool.
Muta's a legend for sure. Yeah. So, obviously, you bring up Muta, and obviously, that leads me to my personal favorite. Well, anybody in the wrestling business that I modeled my little managing career after. And I say career as in like 10 years of acting like an idiot outside the ring. And Tony, I know you and I was your adversary at Saw. And to me, that was the epic part of my career, is getting to work with you and being your little villain against you. And that was, to me, that was the best I could ever do in wrestling. But I modeled myself after one person, and that was Gary Hart. And I know you knew Gary well. I would love to hear something about Gary real quick.
Man, I was out there in Texas, and Eric Emery just got in there to become the assistant booker. When Brody left, he made Gary Hart the booker, and there's my friend and roommate becoming the assistant booker, and I got to really get to know Gary. We made road trips together and learned from him how he would book, and he would have his notebooks, and he was detailed, and listen to him talk in the car, like you talking about car talk, just and how much he had done, how much money he had drawn, helped them Von Erichs. He really tried to help Fritz and them for years, but he was just, he survived that plane crash with Bobby Shane, and Austin Otto was in it. And the way back then, he could have, died in that dang Tampa Bay, but he didn't. He had a broke back, but he kept going for years. He had a mind for the wrestling business, and Uncle Gary, that's what the Von Erichs called him. That's what we were calling him. That's why years later here they call Uncle Tony, but Gary Hart, Playboy Gary Hart. And Jimmy, I remember out there in Saul, brother, you did a great job, and we was just storytelling. We was trying to entertain the people. And keep the people coming back and buying a ticket, and you contributed. And thank you for helping out, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. And
I loved it. I loved it.
Gary Hart, I'm telling you, you can watch on YouTube some of them. He did a few of them, right? Those podcasts, not podcasts, but shoot
interviews,
with Mark Lawrence. And I just play that thing over, just listening to him talk. Because he come up, and that Texas wrestling was rough. And the spoiler, he managed Don Jardine, and that's where Taker gets that walking that rope from. Because Uncle Donald used to do it, and he picked me as Cowboy Tony to work a program, and we had a match out there in Fort Worth on the Star Wars show they had every year at the Will Rogers Coliseum. I think a bullwhip on a pole or something. But I like working him. His career was winding down, but he was a big man. And you hear about he was one to, be pretty stiff in the ring. I guess he might have got in a few of them shoots with people.
Yeah.
Some legendary shoots, I think. Maybe him and Wahoo are different people. But he treated me so nice. I even got some tights that he'd give me, but nobody would ever believe him. He wore that Tarzan top like Lawler do. But Uncle Donald. But Gary Hart was, I wish I could, I'm trying to think of just something special to tell you, but the man was just...
one thing you can say is he took that Boy Tony gimmick off of you and put you into a different and better gimmick.
And that book of his, man, that you can't even get it. It was sold out.
Exactly.
I wish Joe Cephas had one, God rest his soul, and he let me borrow that book, and I give it back to him. I had it for long because he asked. I said, "Yeah, brother, let me." But I did make some copies, and I can't even find of the page where he talked about me in his book, Gary and Tony, how he inherited a couple good hands when he took over the book. But he toned it. Yeah, he said, you don't have to be Boy Tony. You can quit wearing that makeup. I was relieved, brother. I said, I don't have to do this no more.
You bring up Joe Cephas. We're all three huge fans of Joe Cephas. Brody, Joe Hudson. We did a show back in July as a tribute to our man, Joe Cephas. And we had his brother on to talk about him. Wolfie D even did a reaction to some things that Joe said on the show. I just would love to talk a little bit about Joe.
Well, man, I'm getting my eyes already. He came to us. He was a fan. He come to our shows and bought tickets and brought that man. I can't think the name, but he would film. And at the Stadium Inn, he helped us promote to tell fans about this show down here at this hotel. And Joe, man, and then he wanted to get into business. And he talked to LT and I, and that's what we say. He started with us. Dutch, I know, and I talked to Billy Court. I talked to the lady Sherry, and I said, I smartened her up. I said, look, it was the Falks. When he came, he paid his membership, and we at our ring right there at the USWO. But then Dutch had a thing at Mike Cersei's up there, NWA, whatever, and then he went there. You get in the business, you can always learn more and more. So he went to Dutch, and Dutch helped polish them up more after we taught him some basic fundamentals, and he learned. But he helped me so much. We watched him first. We had Joe Cephas, the Shelby Street Brawler, with his mother and his brother and his family. But we just loved him so much. LT, it's not a week that goes by still and it's going to be the 2-year anniversary next month. But we miss him and love him. always. And then Wolfie D, I remember Wolfie helped him. Then I see that. Remember the lamb chop video? Wolfie, y'all filmed out there to save him in, man. I seen that a while back, and I had tears rolling down my eyes just watching that, because we love this man. He touched so many lives, and 43 years and gone. And I talked to Camille, right? Is that her name, from the NWA, the lady?
Yes.
Last night at the show, I said, remember me? I'm Uncle Tony, because Joe made that. Jimmy, did you ever see the Uncle Tony's Waffle and Tire Iron commercial?
Yes, I did. I love that commercial. Yes.
Okay.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
I'm Tony Falk from Paducah, Kentucky. I've been in the wrestling business for over 40 years. You may know me. I'm the one that taught Shawn Michaels how to speak Kizarny. So back in the day when I used to travel down the road in my old Delta 88 Oldsmobile, I became fond of two things, waffles and tire irons. So that's why I decided to open my own store, Tony Falk, Waffles and Tire Irons. We paint all of our tire irons solid gold. And our waffles offer only the best of organic and gluten-free ingredients. So when you're in Paducah, stop by, tell them Uncle Tony sent you.
That's all Joe. We was in a studio. He had 3 more that never aired, but we took hours, and he led me through all that. Joe Cephas and Billy Corgan, they sold out them shirts. Uncle Tony's, Nick Altus wears it. And Mickey James' husband, he told me, Tony, this is my favorite shirt. And I got some pictures that I got off of the internet, him wearing my shirt. He said, I seen him at that, that thing they had at the college, and him and Crimson and Jack Dane, they all come up there. But Nick Altus, man, he says, Tony, I love it. But I could tell you, but he is going to be missed.
Yeah.
He was at Tony Falk Day. I might have told Jimmy, I grew up in the project. I just wanted to be a pro wrestler. And then somehow the mayor in Paducah and people talking that I had went and told people about Paducah, and they gave me this award called the Duke of Paducah. It's the highest civilian award. And Joe came. He said Joe Cephas wasn't missing that for nothing. The COVID about shut us down. We was going to be indoors. We're going to be in that Boys and Girls Club. They said you can't have nothing indoors. Then they said outdoors. Then they said, so we went across at the park. They had a pavilion, an open air pavilion, and we still did it. And they gave me this. And Joe came all the way from Nashville, Scott Till and his wife, Quint Charisma, Jeremiah Plunkett, Madman Pondo come all the way to be there for me. But Joe, man, he spoke, and I never would have, he touched a lot of lives, and he'll greatly be missed forever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, thank you. All day from it. And I have to say this, though, like, dude was a missionary. Dude was a musician. He was a wrestler. He was a dude. He was all kinds of stuff, man. He lived a pretty full life for the years that he was here with us,
Absolutely.
Oh, he lived a life. He lived, and man, he taught, and he made friends, and he was, he's a special person.
Very special.
The world is was a better place with him in it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Saying something about, Joe Cephas just brought back another name. We got a lot of brothers that, man, me and you've seen a lot of come and go. You've seen more than I have, but Lord, I've seen a lot. Billy John. We both love Billy Joe, didn't we?
And talking about yes, we love Billy Joe Travers, Billy Don, Billy Gary Mize. He was. I stumble across that when I'm bored. I was just watching when he hit my friend Percy Pringle, Paul Byrd, the late Paul, over the head with the guitar, just one of them angles. And he said, "Here, take this to Eric Emery." And Billy was standing on top of the apron. Percy was on the ring. Percy was on the floor there beside the ring, and Mark Lawrence. So Billy's up on that high sportatorium ring. So he blasts him with the guitar coming down. I've never seen a shot. And man, he laid Percy out. But Billy, man, that's another one that left us way too soon, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was 41 years.
Man. What a good dude, man. I swear people tell me to this day, Wolfie, you're the only person that Billy ever paid back.
Well, you must be. Yeah, I could tell you some funny. Listen to this. Out there at the Sportatorium on the TV taping on Saturday mornings, we do the show Friday night, and they got to where they would let people in on Saturday morning just to fill that huge. Well, there was a lady who was a secretary for Chris Adams in his promotion, and he was using that one off. And somehow Billy had got her to lend him some money or something. This woman went out. And had these copies. She probably had maybe 300 of those. Billy, she wants her money back. and they passed them out. So when he come walking down that aisle at the Sportatorium, those people held them things up, and there was at least 200 or 300 of them. They were on lime green copy paper. Billy, she wants her money back.
That is hilarious. But what a great soul Billy was, man. I'm sorry, but he was really a great soul. Great worker, man. What a great worker.
I went to his funny. He was
everything that came out of his mouth was funny.
Very, very entertaining, man. He was a Kentucky guy up there. And I went to his funeral over there, and when he passed, I had an old car, but Donnie Goodman, our friend Donnie, he followed me back. Yeah, he followed me back so I could make it back to Nashville, because I said, I hope this old hoopty will make it, but I've got to go pay my respect to Billy Joe. And I went and I made it, and I made it back safe. But
you remember that Donnie turned a word that we just made in the rest of business with our karting stuff, but they turned me Smizziel. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because Donnie got confused because we'd always say Smiz for smoke, and then for some reason that was the way to do it. And he said, yeah, they turned me Smizziel over there.
Smizziel.
And so we always...
He contributes. Well, I didn't know that, but he did get a hold of he got a hold of LT and them before Christmas.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, Donnie did. He pops up out of the blue, but he got a hold of them or something, but they never heard back. But he was at that
the Ric Flair gimmick.
Yeah,
Ric Flair. Yeah.
So we're talking funny stuff here, and I don't want to lead off in a different path, but I got to hear some good ribs from you, Tony. Have you heard, tell me a good rib you saw or was a part of or had done to you or something funny like that?
Oh, it was just where they would hide shoes like Reggie B. Fine. And when the Sandman came in here, he didn't know about ribs, and they smartened him up, and he thought he was learning how to. He was like man. And
Snowman or Sandman?
Huh?
Snowman or Sandman? You said Sandman.
Sandman. Jim Fullerton, the Sandman. He came down from Philadelphia, but listen, the first gimmick, he had to carry this big diving board, the surfboard around.
Yeah.
That's it. And the wetsuit, that was his first gimmick. He'd come out, the Sandman, like I guess one of them beach bums or something. He carried that damn thing to the ring, and Eric Emery took a pocket knife one time and cut, because he ribbed me so much, he cut my name on that board one time.
Oh,
with the damn Eric, because I wouldn't rib back, but he somebody smartened him up. Boy, he was just doing little stupid ribs. But one thing they would do is like we'd be in Louisville and we'll leave that dressing room and go to the ring and come back. Then all of a sudden go get showered and get dressed. You only got one tennis shoe there.
Yeah.
And you remember this, Wolfie D, and your shoe, you looking, you cussing. So then I had to wear my wrestling boots home. Back to Nashville because they done stole one of your tennis shoes.
Oh, man.
So that's like a Tuesday. So then a Saturday, maybe in Nashville, then you come back, all of a sudden your tennis shoes popped up back, that one that was missing. Yeah. They done had it. Just many ribs, but if somebody could ever compile a book, put it in the form of all the ribs, there's been hundreds of. But Sandman, I wasn't there this last night, but they got him in Evansville. When he was finishing up, he had to go back to Pittsburgh because his wife wanted him to come. So he cut his little stay short down here. He was only here probably about 7 or 8 weeks. But that night they took I guess Frank Morrell and Jeff Gaylord and them. They was tying his Zuba pants up in knots, pulling on the. Eric Emery supposedly went out and spray painted his headlights on the van with his black paint. I think another one did the old, crap in the bag.
Yeah,
I think that was a stiff rib there.
Yeah, that's a very stiff rib because your wife finds that gimmick,
Yeah, toothpaste. They've been so many. Oh, but no, yeah. I never did like getting in. I never ribbed, and I really didn't like to get ribbed. But I got ribbed a few times.
Yeah, you don't want the repercussions.
Yeah,
but I did pay. I paid one back one time. It could have cost us a big deal at Channel 5. See, Brian Christopher had chased me. Wolfie might have been there when I used that Ethernet lighter and got Brian BC, man. He jumped 2 foot up. But what happened is he had a big wad of something, and I thought he was that flash paper or something. He was going to burn me, chasing me around over in Missouri. West Memphis at the Army one. And I said, Brian, get out of here. And he was like, I thought he was going to throw that. And I was running. People thought it was so funny. And a couple months later at Channel 5 right there and there was a can of ether starting fluid, for the car.
Yeah,
they must use it. I've seen it. They used it for I guess on the old rag where they come up by. I think maybe Sean Stasiak or somebody was doing something. They were working at Angle I can't remember exactly, but I know I said, you got a lighter? And Brad had come out of taking a shower, and he was sitting there with his towel around him, and I backed up, and I took and flicked that big and hit that button, and it was like a blowtorch. He jumped, and then I got in trouble from our friend Randy Ells because he said, Tony, that could have set the sprinkler system. That could have been. We could have lost it. It could have been bad, but.
Yeah.
Well,
and honestly, I've seen it where people didn't know what they were doing with the ether, about knock out the whole front row too. It's not always something you want to play with. Now, I want to ask this question because I know you're going to be. See, the thing about you, Tony, is I know you're truthful. That's the cool part about you. But also,
I appreciate that.
But also, you are a good brother. You know what I mean? You're not going to rag on somebody. So I don't expect you to throw anybody under the bus on this. But as far as it goes, who was the best paying promoter and who was the worst paying promoter?
Well, Joe Blanchard, I could say. In San Antonio and that whole territory, he and I tell all the years since I've been down there, I would tell everybody what a sweetheart of a man Joe Blanchard was, a promoter and a payoff man. He was definitely the best.
Yeah.
And then the worst, and I'm trying to think. It might be here in Tennessee. I don't know. I was going to have to ask Wolfie, but this is my answer. So
I like that. That's a good answer. Yeah.
But I'm sure you've heard it more than once.
Sure.
I don't know. But they did what they could do to stay in business. I understand that too from that end.
And they stayed in business longer than anybody as far as the territories go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly, because Vince put everybody out of business, just about everybody in Tennessee. USWA was one of the last ones, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that deal, Wolfie was there. I think he was there was you there when the people from Ohio bought the company?
Yeah.
I think I got let go right when it was happening. Larry Burton and RH had to give me again. I got a notice, So I didn't get to.
Were you there that night? I know it was me, Dutch, Glenn Jacobs, Jamie. There was quite a few more, and I can't remember everything. Where Larry Burton took us all to that Morton Steakhouse after hours in Nashville. Do you remember that? Were you there?
No,
yeah,
I sure was.
This was close to closing time. I don't know, but he was just trying to flex his muscles, and he kept them open after closing time and took us all there. And I mean, each plate was $100 or something, and this dude just kept them open and bought us all dinner.
A big shot. He's trying to make himself out a big shot. Yeah.
Right. Another question, and I know, here's the other thing. I'm a big fan of your son, LT. LT was super cool to me. He would book me on USWO. You would book me on that show, especially when you had moved it to Millersville.
Yeah.
But you and LT are so different than a lot of wrestling dads and their sons. Okay. Wolfie and I have talked about this before, that it's almost odd how some of the dads act with their sons. And I'm not naming any names, but what have you ever noticed that you're like, I can't believe you're almost kind of cold with your son, when you and LT, I mean, it's as evident that you love your son as much as you breathe air. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Do you ever notice that some wrestling dads are a little weird with their wrestling sons?
Yeah, I've seen different cases over the years, and I just didn't get to do a lot of the in-ring with him, you know. John Caesar and Kid Cash and just a lot of different people, Eron and other people, but I just wasn't in the shape or gotten lazy and didn't get up in the ring and work with him a lot. Reno might have helped him some, Reno Regan's new, but yeah, I don't know what you can contribute that to, you know.
Is it just competition, maybe? Is it
maybe?
Do you think it's this guy's getting the rub off of my name and they're going to take my spot? Is it that thing? I mean, it's just always kind of puzzled me how I think of my 16-year-old son.
Back in the older days. Like, I don't think Tony, honestly, I'm not speaking for Tony. Love you. I think it is a deal where Tony just didn't feel threatened by his son, as to where maybe the other ones you're talking about, and we all know that.
I think I know where you're going. See, we was actually wrestling, working at the same time. But are you talking like maybe a Jamie and a Bill, or a Brian and a Lawler, or
maybe so? Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe that's what we're talking about.
I don't know.
I think it is. We all know that.
But I didn't know where y'all was going.
The knife fight.
Yeah.
Well,
let's just put that out there. You know that you know, to be honest, for different reasons. I don't know what they would be, you know.
Sure.
But it's you know, you trying to get over, you know, everyone wants to get over, and it's hard for some.
Hey, here's something I want to bring up, because the one thing we haven't mentioned, and I want to bring this back to Jimmy real quick, is that on our top 10 finishers, and we didn't even give it honorable mention, but everybody knows, want me to, want me to,
the habba.
Yeah. And I think that should be in the top 10 finishers. And Tony, I want you to tell everybody where that came from. What the fuck does that mean even? I mean, do you want me to stick my thumb in this throat, or?
Yeah, that's what it is. Exactly. It's exactly, you know, when Ernie Ladd used to use the big taped up thumb and give him the big thumb in the throat. And or when I was a heel, you know, every little, I don't know who did I see. I didn't use no tape though, but the Crazy Luke did. But I just give them the thumb jab. I guess that's the proper way. You grab them in the head and you give them the thumb jab to the throat, and they sell it. Right. As a heel, you get heat because you're not supposed to do it. It's an illegal move. You just during the heat. So, but when I had turned babyface for a while in Memphis, believe it or not, they had that Lauren Davenport, and she had the man of the 90s. Then she brought me. No, she brought, and that's on some. If you ever get a chance, I think it's on the YouTube. But then they actually turned me babyface. I couldn't believe that they was all cheering. But I would do that and grab them and ask the people, like, what about it? Ha about a ha. Jamie would add all that up. Ha about a ha. And then it just so it's funny how something just develops, and how you want me to give them the habada, the sabada, and as I was a babyface, when a heel turns babyface, right, he does the same stuff, right? You don't stop.
I'm just pretty sure, though. As I'm laughing my ass off right now, I'm just pretty sure I have taken that more than once, the hum and the ha. And fuck sold it like a motherfucker, like I had been hit with a goddamn sledgehammer.
You have, And that's what makes it. Only the people who sell it good. Exactly. Brian, I'm trying to think, but that's all part of them, getting back. Raven, he does one. If you would call him up now and say, "Give me a Tony Falk." How about I'm Tony Falk?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we started this thing off, I said there's two people that are the most impersonated. Tommy Rich and his voice, and a lot of people could do that. And then the Tony Falk voice. But there's not too many people that can do the Tony Falk voice that know the words to say. With Tommy Rich, you can say anything. You can say anything.
That kind of thing.
Hey, it's Tommy Rich. I'm going across the street over here and look at this truck and this beautiful girl. That sounds like Tommy Rich. But
that sounds like Tommy Rich.
It would be different.
You could read off
from Paducah, Kentucky, and I gotta have the hum and the hum. You want me to? Yeah, I gotta have all that. And then your son, my God, is a spitting image. Getting finishes from him, talking over spots. I feel like I'm looking at you, and yeah, man. But seriously, this has been freaking incredible, Tony. I'm so glad you have come on this show. This is great, man. And
well, listen,
we can do two-parter, Jimmy. Right?
Yeah. Well, you two. I want to tell you now, I haven't done any of these. I've been asked for several. I did the one for Randy Hales, but it was pre-recorded for Wolfie D. Not Wolfie D, Brian when he passed, and one for Tracy when he passed. So only those tribute shows. So as far as this is a first, but both of you have been so good and made me feel relaxed. I tell you, who knows what I might start doing more. Well, I can definitely. Y'all will be the first, but because you made me feel so good here today, and we definitely do a two-parter if that's what it's going to be.
Hell yeah, man! There's so much more we can talk about, Tony. I mean, we just had such a history, and you just in general, like I said from the start, man. Even though you think you don't, you've done it 100 times of telling me a date or this happened on this date.
Oh, I remember. I could. I could do that, but it's kind of
guarantee you this show is going to be listened to like in our top. What do you think, Jimmy?
Oh, easily top 5. I mean, Jamie's going to be hard to beat, but honestly,
this is what I want to do. I want to take this opportunity right now too for any fans out there that's listening to this, and you have been a wrestling fan over the years. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting professional wrestling. I've loved it my whole life. I still love it. I don't look at today's product much, but I go to these shows like I went with my son LT to these locals, and I see the fans. That's why I go, because some of the old fans, like last night, there were some fans up there that had been going to wrestling for 20 years around these in Middle Tennessee. A couple of them come up to say hi to me. I know I've seen them for the last 20 years, but and I look forward to seeing them. But it makes me feel good when they come up and say hello or take like one guy last night. He said, "Tony, you had your first match." He had his first match pointing to Jeff Jarrett against you. So there we are in the same building, and that was 30-something years ago in 1986 when he had his first match. But so I'm going to thank all the listeners out there that's been a fan of professional wrestling here, and thank you for loving what we did and supporting us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I couldn't endorse that.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, you've been my number one guest, and I even bugged LT, and he kayfabed me a few times on the Facebook Messenger. We'll put that out there.
Oh yeah.
But
Wolfie cornered me. Wolfie got me up in that Portland show. Yeah,
I was bugging him about it, though. I was bugging him.
All right. Well, now we can say in 2023 it's happened. It's happening. It's a done
deal. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Take us out.
Wish y'all the
Tony, I love you, man, and thank you for coming on. Seriously, the memories, man, I cannot replace or thank you enough. The things you taught me, we didn't talk a lot about that, but hell, man, you've worked a bazillion times and always was a learning experience, man, and I appreciate everything you've ever done for me, including driving me when some people might have thrown me out of the car. And,
Okay.
So at any rate, Tony, man, I'm gonna have you back. If you'll be back, I'll have you back. And I think the people you're gonna see, we're gonna let you know what the numbers are.
It's gonna blow up.
But I can guarantee you it's gonna blow up, man, because you came on here and got straight and we had fun, man. And
absolutely,
man, that's what it's all about.
Nobody to knock nobody. I'm not trying to. That's not what me and Jimmy do. We just want to talk and have fun, man. But I feel like
keep up the good work.
I feel like we just got in the car and drove to Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Took you home, Tony Falk, and I love you to death. You and LT, I love you. Your kid, LT Falk, he's a great wrestler. And you're a great wrestler, Tony Falk, and I love you so much.
Thank you, my brother. And it was real nice, and I'm glad I got to do it now. And when you're ready to do the next one, just hit me up, brother.
We'll get it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Love you, Tony Falk, and the people love you. And thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. All right, guys, we're back. And again, man, I feel like I say this over and over. But Jimmy, we do got some good guests, man. We've been very blessed with the people that have
blessed with the guest. Yes,
blessed with the guests. Yes, and just people that are willing to come on here and talk to us and have a good time. We really appreciate it. And this is a first for me on here to have somebody. I swear to God, I met this kid when he was probably 2, 3, something like that.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure LT Falk here was born in 1988. I got into the business at the end of 89, started wrestling in like 90, excuse me. And so I met LT and his daddy when LT was just a little bitty thing. Knee high to a grasshopper, as I say. What's going on, LT? How you doing, buddy?
I hope you guys are doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely.
We've been working on getting you on here. They're beating down the door trying to get on this show. So, we work you in when we can, kid. No, I'm kidding, buddy. But yeah, for real, do you remember I guarantee you don't remember like when I first met you, but do you remember being a little kid and knowing me?
Of course, man. I've told you the story a few times. Not sure if you remember, but man, I loved your Wolfie. When I was a young kid, trust me, dude. I had my little gimmicked up shorts, my little hubcap, sunglasses, running around the house being silly. I even had some blue jeans I cut up for the Moondogs. Went to the dollar store, got me a damn bone. I love wrestling. It was my life, man. And another funny story, and it's just so damn random, but I think about it from time to time. I forget where we were, but I was able to attend a few shows with my dad and my mom, and I got to make a trip with them, and we stayed at the hotel. And during the day, I forget the location, but man, I went to the vending machine and got some M&Ms and some Skittles, and you and BC, O'Brien Christopher, was out there by the vending machine, and I took off running, and I fell, and I scraped my damn arm, busted up my elbow, and I went back, and my mom had some of that, it was like that, first aid spray. Bactine, remember that?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Come here, son, let me spray this on you and clean up your elbow." And I was like, no, it burns. It burns. I don't want to do it. And you said something like, "No, man, if I do it, you could do it." I don't know if you remember this, Wolf, but you put your arm out and you let my mom spray the gimmick on you, right? And then BC, Brian, put his arm out, and when my mom went to spray him, no, it's burning. He started selling the hell out of it, So I just thought that was so cool, man. What a gimmick, you LT, if I could do it, you could do it. And then when it was BC's turn, he totally, ripped my mom, and man, I have all kinds of memories, dude.
That's awesome.
Well, when you had my dad on there, we always put Tony Falk over about dates and times and memories, but age just catching up with them, and man, I used to be good at stuff like that too, but now I've had a few concussions. I'm dealing with a few things, but I'm still blessed for some of the memories I have and things I can remember and talk about. Everybody has a story to tell, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
man, that's funny though. It's just I remember you as I can just see your little face, man, and it's just funny to think that now you're grown up and got your own kids and things like that, man. It's fun, and then like I said, your daddy's always been good to me, and I traveled with him, and I knew you as a kid and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool, man, to see where everybody's been and, just life. And you get to be Wolfie's age here. You start really thinking about stuff like that, man,
That's it. Oh, yeah, man. Just waking up in the morning is a blessing itself, and my father thinks a lot of you both. I think a lot of both of you, and I can't say how happy I am to be on here, man, and especially with you two,
Oh, dude. Thank you, brother. It means the world. Yeah. I mean, we're big fans of Big T. We talk about him all the time on any of my shows and this show all the time. And anytime we can relate a Tony Falk story to something, we're going to do it, man. So, that's how.
I'm just so happy to, be a second generation wrestler and my dad being who he is. And, to hear my dad talk at times, he's like, oh, I'm a nobody. I'm a jabroni. But man, all them years and all the guys he's helped, and to some people it means nothing, but to me it's bragging rights when guys like Austin and Shawn Michaels and they do podcasts and autobiographies. They're not obligated to do this, but when they mention my dad's name and they put him over, that is bragging rights, man.
Yeah. Let me say this real quick. Yeah. So when, the podcast of Stone Cold started up early, I remember he was talking about, Tony on there, and I sent him an email just never thinking that he would reply. And he said, what's so funny, Mr. Austin, is I'm actually working for the Falks right now at USWO, and Tony's great. I just sit under the learning tree every time I hear him. He was like, yeah, kid, tell Tony I said, hey. That's what he replied with. I was like, holy crap. Yeah.
and I've never been, too caught up in the podcast, but there's been times where, different people will mention my dad's name, and some of our friends, fans, and trainees would send me a link, and I would check it out, and I'm just so appreciative. Some of the guys have had good things to say about my dad,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Now, Austin, man, so one thing about me, this is funny, my mother was a worker. That's how my parents met. My my dad got in the business in 73, and then about 82, 83, my mother got in the business, and in Memphis is how they met. When I think about my beginning, I have to quote a guy named Impressive Anthony Wayne. Jimmy, you know him?
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's a character, man. He's based out of Middle Tennessee, but he's from Oklahoma. Tom Jones, Mr. Ebony, broke him in the business. And one time, Anthony said this about me. He said, LT's mother was a wrestler. LT's father was a wrestler. LT has known professional wrestling since the sperm has met the egg. What a hell of a thing to say, but look, it's so damn true.
Right.
One hell of a thing to say, but that's it, man. But two parents in this damn business, they met and they fell for each other, and then they had me.
Yeah.
So I was born into this business, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I'm not knocking you all. We do bring this up every once in a while about how you and Tony have this ability to talk in promo, man. And I'm not knocking you. I promise you, this is a real appreciation. And I was just reading something before we brought you on. I was thinking, so I Googled, how do kids learn to talk, right? Okay. And so babies learn by experiencing and listening to the world around them. So the more language they are exposed to, the better. Well, anyway, the point being of that is those first few words I said there. You said it, and you kind of led into it. Your mom and dad were in the business, and then that's what you're learning how to talk. And again, so anyway, I think it's just the best whenever you guys are so good at promos. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense. So.
And it's the hand gestures. The hand gestures.
I was going to say, Wolfie's always been on me about that. Yeah, the Falks love to talk indeed, but also we kind of, salesmen, carnies, we talk with our hands. And Wolfie used to always say, "Damn it, I love LT, but man, if you try to, tie his hands up or handcuff them, he wouldn't be able to conversate with you."
And that's funny because I was actually just fixing to say that. I was going to tell Jimmy, if you handcuff his hands behind his back, he wouldn't be able to say I'm fucking working.
It's a gimmick, man, but I'm telling you, it's a lot of folks. They've always said, "Man, this damn kid is stuck in promo mode." He's always talking and playing with his voice, but it's interesting. It's different.
It is.
It's always
Absolutely
something.
Let me ask you this, because I've had similar situations, man, but I got to know, like, you've had some shoot jobs or whatever. And when you do that to them, and it's second nature to you, you probably don't even realize you're doing it half the time. What is their reaction to that? Because I know, you call them normal people or whatever, but, we do speak and do things a little bit different than everybody else from all the years in the business. But, and they do, I don't care what they say, they treat you different, they look at you differently. But so, yeah, how do people respond to you, like in the normal world when you're doing that shit?
Okay, so customers and co-workers in the past, a lot of them have, found it pretty entertaining. They're popping for it. Some I've been I've been to too many damn doctor visits here lately over the last year or two. I'm falling apart, and some of these doctors are thinking, does this kid have like ADHD or something going on with him? Man, I've made a few mistakes in the past. I've actually been I've even talked to law enforcement and been in promo mode, and
that's amazing.
Can you picture me talking and cutting promos, talking to the kids ops? It's just, brother, it is what it is, man.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah. So I'm just curious, man, because we had Kevin Lawler on. And we talked about how his younger days of being around Memphis and that whole bunch of pirates out there. But talk about your younger days as a kid, especially with your dad on the road, and then maybe some of the wild and crazy wrestlers that came through your life as a young man.
Yeah, man. First of all, I was almost born over there in PR. My mother was pregnant with me, and they lived in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yeah, man, and Phil LaFon, Ron Starr, they all talked to my parents about going to Canada, free health care, and wanted to leave PR and go to Canada. And I could have been born in PR, or I came close to being born in Canada, but after the whole Brody gimmick, and my dad was there that night, and my mom was just so frustrated with some of the things taking place down there. She's like, "Get me the hell off of this island."
Yeah.
Before it was too late in the pregnancy, they moved back to the States, and I was born in New Albany, Mississippi. We always talk about our beloved friend, Marvelous Mitch Ryder. In New Albany, Indiana. Well, I'm from New Albany, Mississippi, but just in no time, straight to Dallas, man. Straight to Dallas, man. Eric Embry and all of them. My dad, he was always a journeyman, different territories and different places. So the first the first show I attended, they tell me I was just some of this I don't remember, but I was, just a newborn, I guess, Dallas Sportatorium. And then, grew up in Dallas, Texas, the first few years of my life, and some of those memories I have. We have a few photos and videos. I just wish, I hear all these stories, you talked about Austin earlier. My dad tells me all these stories about, me sitting in his lap, shadow boxing with him, and running around the back, and him playing with me. I'm like, man, why don't we have any damn photos of stuff like that?
Right.
And, hell, even in Nashville, many years later, the old World Class Gym, I guess WWF came to town. The boys used to go work out there, and they didn't have no damn daycare, no babysitting service. But I was lucky enough that Donna,
I was just fixing to say, what was her name?
Yeah, Donna, you remember her? And,
yeah.
And
her husband. I don't remember her husband's name.
Andy, and then they had a guy that worked there named Chip. not Kip, it was Chip. So they was cool, man. They used to let a young LT Falk come hang out in the lobby, play with my action figures. And I remember one time WWF was in town, and I saw Austin, and man, he walks me through the gym, and he picked me up, and he was holding me doing like pull-ups, right? So 1, 2, he's lifting me up, and I'm doing pull-ups in the mirror. Steve Austin's holding me, and then I'm holding on, and he walks off, leaves me hanging, man. I'm hanging on for dear life, kicking my legs and screaming, and he walked off and left me. You know, all kinds of little ribs and gimmicks, man. But the Sportatorium, I got there's some photos of me and a few of the guys, and photos of me at ringside and at the gimmick tables, man. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
In Dallas, man.
Dude, that's amazing.
Metroplex.
Yeah.
TW, Texas Wrestling Federation. Uncle Gary Hart was talking, and but then I'm getting a few years of age, and I'm talking and running around, and more stories about this guy giving me a mask, this guy shadow boxing and playing with me, all the stories about me talking to Gary Hart. Supposedly they shot some video one time, and he had his neck popped, and he got up and said, "What a rush."
Yes, I've seen that commercial. Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I used to look up at him and say, "What a rush."
What a rush. My name is Gary Hart, and when I get out of line, I always go to the chiropractic clinic of Dr. Kevin Witt, right here in Euless. But matter of fact, anyone throughout the mid-cities or the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you're out of line, Dr. Kevin Witt can get you back in. He's your man.
Louis Spicoli, he was so cool to me, and Abdullah, Al Farouk, Tim Renesto, how we love the Renestos, right? Tim Talltree, and then his brother Tom Jr., John was there refereeing, and it was some, short-lived, but some cool stuff, man, and I'm glad, I was just a young kid, but being able to run around and meet some of those guys. I just wish there was more videos and pictures, but the whole, don't be a mark, my dad would never, take photos or do stuff like that, but
it was different
down the line. It was, but
you get browbeat for that, man.
That's right. So totally understandable, but now,
I'm glad it's different now.
Man,
yeah.
Of course, memories, documentaries, just footage. It is good to have that. So I believe, snap away, right?
Amen. Amen.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. There's so many times and people that I've been around. It's like, man, I wish I would had some pictures from that.
That's it, man. So speaking of Dallas and Sportatorium and the Metroplex. What about the Iron Claw movie?
Man, I haven't seen that yet, but I've heard good and bad, but I definitely want to see it for myself. Yeah, so
I'll check it out too. I probably won't go to the movies and see it, but I'll wait on it to come out and check it out.
My dad, enjoyed it, but he was so upset how they left out Chris.
Chris, yeah, it's messed up, man. Yeah,
and so some folks know this, some folks don't. But my father had a big hand in working out and training with Chris Von Erich.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yes, man. My dad had 2 sets of keys for the Sportatorium. We used to go there, and he worked out with Chris Von Erich, many times. I think he worked them like 2. Chris only had a few matches, but around 2 or 3 of them was with my dad.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was talking to him about it just the other night because I know the story. There was a Chris Adams spot show in Oklahoma. One of the matches was, Cowboy Tony Falk versus Chris Von Erich, and my dad went out there and bumped his ass off for little Chris. But then he got back, and one of the guys in charge kind of had a promo for my dad saying, "You did way too much. That guy is quite small, Tony. You done a little too much for him." But that was just my dad trying to have fun and make the kid, look good.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah, man. So. Yeah, I was just wondering if you guys saw that, but neither one.
I want to, man. I want to. I plan on it. Our buddy Cassidy Riley's in it for just a second or two there, which is really cool. Yeah. Very happy to see that for him. And yeah, I mean, I was hoping maybe, LT could play Tony in the movie, that would have been.
I have one photo. I was going through some old photos last night, man, and So after the whole suicide thing with Chris, my dad was hurt. He was so upset with that, man.
Yeah.
Supposedly just a few nights before he did it at a show, my mom was sitting next to him, talking to him. I remember my mom always told me the story. I was just sitting right there next to him, talking to him, and a few days later, this happened, and my dad didn't go. He did not attend the funeral, but I know before we moved to Nashville, we did go by the grave site, and there's a photo of my dad and I right there at Chris Von Erich's the grave site. But I mean, that movie was something else, dude.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Talking about growing up in the business, so we moved to Nashville in '91, and that's when Tony Falk went to work for. He went back to Memphis and became chauffeur Tony.
Yeah.
Eric Embry, right? So the schedule, the loop.
Yeah.
My dad was just thankful and blessed to have a job, traveling, trying to put food on the table for his family. But man, I was just a kid. There for a short time, I did have to go to Paducah to stay with my grandmother when my dad was traveling, doing his stuff, and then came back in '92, and sure enough, all the boys have stories about this infamous historic place. Well, I do as well. A young LT living at the Congress Inn.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it, man. '92, right there in Nashville, on the wrong side of town, Congress Inn. Tony, my mom, Candy, a little young punk kid, LT, Eric Embry, Miss Texas, Bart Sawyer, Brick House, Ingrid, Jeff Daniels, Dominique.
Brick House was when he was living there.
a lot of photos of LT in that damn dirty swimming pool at the Congress Inn. had one of my birthday parties in the lobby in the hotel lobby at Congress Inn.
You are definitely in the business if you have a birthday party at the Congress Inn. You're definitely.
That is it. Yeah. That's how you know.
It don't get no more old school than that.
Yeah.
Congress. And then moved to Madison, just a few minutes down the street, and that's where I was getting a few years older. That's where I had my gimmicked up Wolfie D shorts and hubcap and Mean Dog pants and wrestling figures galore. I was so damn spoiled, man. I had all the damn figures and video games, and it was something else. And then sure enough, man, I was lucky enough to do a little bit of traveling. I mean, think about it. Like they always say, keep your wives and girlfriends away, keep your children away. Keep your children away. But I was blessed to attend a few shows. Even got to kind of go in and out of the back. That's another no. But somehow I got to run around the locker rooms or get to the building early and play in the ring.
Times are changing.
Yeah. I do have a lot of I have a lot of some home video footage from so it was like I want to say 94. Little man Jerry Jarrett, the mansion on the hill. They had that wrestling ring out there by the barn.
Yeah.
That's when my dad was treating that former football player, Colin Scott.
Yeah.
Remember him, Wolfie?
Yeah.
Australian football player, had like a developmental deal.
Right.
My dad was working with him, and big Jim Dotson, he ended up becoming head of security for WWF.
Right. He was on TV as many as any of them.
Penny.
Yeah.
Penny and a young LT with his little rat tail and his cowboy boots, being able to sit there and watch and listen and learn. And my dad's helping share knowledge and train guys. Jerry Jarrett's there with his little spit cup. I got to get in the ring and make a few home videos of taking bumps and beating up on my dad, so that's cool to, 94, Jerry Jarrett's mansion, in the ring playing, it's good to have stuff like
that's
that.
That's surreal, man. Yeah.
And then right after your dad stopped doing it, is when I took over up there, and they moved it. It was at the fairgrounds, but then every now and then it'd be up there at the mansion out under that big ass tree.
That's it. And then just being a kid and being able to tag along the I would say like some outlaw shows.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like Memphis was cool because I've been to Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis TV a time or two. the fairgrounds and Springfield, some of those loops. And then going to some of these outlaw shows like the Mullins in Shelbyville. I know that means a lot to you, Wolf.
Yeah.
And then, Freddie Morton's Columbia. What about Terry Rice and Power Slam,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Some of these little outlaws around, the Middle Tennessee area, the Hackneys, New South, Southern All-Star. My dad's Paducah, Kentucky. He ran wrestling for many years right there at the National Guard Armory, 1800 Clark Street, Paducah, Kentucky. His hometown. And, man, I was just a young kid, and, Kentucky.
Has anybody got a camera on you right now?
No.
I swear I can see him walking around. He's going crazy right now.
But man, a young kid climbing in the ring, taking bumps and letting guys like, Joe Hopkins, Gator McAllister give me duplexes and, climbing the ropes. I was just a kid, brother. I was, under the age of 10, and I'm in there, taking bumps and doing shoulder rolls.
Yeah. So it's not too long after that when USWO gets going, right?
That's it. So check this out, Wolfie. I was, talking to, just being a young kid, and like I said, going to some of these shows and, being able to go in and out of the back, like seeing Mama D, Big Pete, Scorpion, right?
Yeah.
And other people that means a lot to you that I was, scared of. I'm a kid, and there's some scary hood gimmicks, like Medic, Rick Reynolds, and Tommy Hickey and Dante, I'm in and out of the back of these damn hood gimmicks, but everybody treated me nice. That was so cool to me, man, and just growing up around the business, really helped me out. But because all I wanted to do was, become a wrestler and follow in my parents' footsteps, Yeah. And then, about me having that near-death experience in '99.
Yeah, you fell out of a tree or some shit.
Yeah, brother. Hit a damn baseball, into like into a backyard, and I had on some high-dollar sneakers, some Air Jordans,
Nice.
Yeah. And my mom used to work, hard. She used to go above and beyond to keep her kid looking fresh, So I had some J's on my feet. My damn baseball's over there like a little creek. I didn't want to get my shoes dirty, so I'm climbing a tree, man. I'm just, 10, 11 years of age, and I'm climbing a tree and trying to cross over the creek to get my damn baseball, and sure enough, the branch broke. The branch broke, and it was 13 or 15 feet head first fall. Landed on the boat. Dude, this, I wish there was pictures and videos of this, me in the hospital. I don't remember any of the incident. They say with head trauma, you usually don't remember, the accident.
Right.
But man, I landed on my head, and I fractured my skull in 3 places. I shattered my right jawbone. There were so many fractures and cracks they couldn't count.
Man.
And, my eye was busted up. Not too many people know this, but my right ear was damn near ripped off. Had staples all in my head. That's why I've always kind of kept my hair kind of long, because I have a pretty nice scar. And then the main thing was brain hemorrhaging. I had bleeding of the brain, and my parents, they was divorced at the time. So my mom quit the business in '96. Parents got divorced in '98. My sister Taylor and I lived with my mom. My dad had joint custody, but I was still, visiting him a few days a week and being able to do some traveling with him, But anyway, my parents were divorced, but they got together and made the trip. And I was at my grandparents' house in Southgate, Kentucky.
But hey, slow down just a second. Slow down. Let's go back to the fall. I don't want to just skip over that. That's pretty traumatic, because I do remember it, and I remember, your father. I believe it was your dad that was telling me about it, or the first time I talked to him about it, and I believe that I remember seeing you after some time there, and I remember you having a big scar on it's on the side of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, the right side.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I remember the way.
I was in ICU for a little while, man. Cincinnati, Ohio Children's Hospital. They didn't know, man. If I'm blessed, man. They didn't know if I was going to make it or if I was going to be, like mentally challenged, and head trauma. But brother, I ended up being okay. I didn't have to have. Especially when they tell my mom that she couldn't even kiss my cheek because there were so many fractures they couldn't count. But no plate in my jaw, no surgery. Everything was kind of in place. I just had to take it easy for a while, and had to, do like a special school transfer. I was homeschooled for a while, and then I had to do a special transfer to be close to my mom, and multiple doctor's appointments and imaging, and they told me I couldn't play football. And when they say no football, even though I'm just a kid, all I'm thinking about is what about a future in professional wrestling?
Right? Right.
So man, there for a minute, I was just a kid, but still, man, you have hopes and dreams and wondering about, and they've learned so much since then about head trauma and, and dude, I have headaches every now and then, and all they could tell me is they think it's like residual side effects symptoms from the head trauma I had back in '99.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man, the human body and brain.
Has it ever been a thing where, just say a chair shot or anything, and I don't recall this, and that's the reason I'm asking, have you ever said, no, I don't do that? Or did you just be like, fuck it, it's what we do? I mean,
maybe a time or two I've kind of, should we do this, or is there a way to kind of get around it if it's anything like too crazy with some of these crazy bumps, guys going on top of their heads, or chair shots. Bro, I've been working
just something as simple as a chair shot to the head. I'm thinking if I would have been you, and then knowing what happened to me as a child, and I get in the wrestling business, I'd be like, look, I'll do whatever you want, just don't fucking hit me in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, communication is everything. I've said a few things, but this is a true story. I've had 8 concussions, man.
Mm-hmm.
8 concussions in 20 years of wrestling. Last year, dude, I was messed up, man. Like brain fog, headaches, a number of things. Followed up with a neurologist, and they had me doing like SLP classes, talking about Alzheimer's, dementia, CTE. It's good to learn and get educated on that stuff, but shit, man, they're turning me into a hypochondriac.
And that's scary, dude. Yeah,
bro. But you never know, man. It is abuse to the body, and some of the stuff I've dealt with my head. But man, I back to like '99, and there for a minute, I was kind of, a few years later, I don't know why, but I stopped attending a few shows. Stopped attending a few shows and just kind of got caught up in basketball and just, different things, man, all my wrestling figures, brother, I gave my stuff away. I didn't sell, I didn't trade, I just gave my stuff away, man. And now looking back, thinking about some of the toys I had and some of those things, what they're worth now, damn, could have had some money and made some. I just gave my stuff away, man, and stopped attending shows, and it was different. And then Farron Fox, David Martin, and my dad, they started doing Springfield, Tennessee, at the center. USWO, that's where it started. You talked about USWO, and 2001, that's where it was, man. A guy named Ronnie Brown, Mike Porter, my dad, and when it comes time to start promoting and papering the town, Aaron and my dad said, well, look at little innocent LT, they wanted me to come out of my shell and talk to people. I had a bad speech problem too, my childhood, man. I had chronic ear infections and my speech was messed up, I'm damn near deaf, but a lot of speech therapy throughout the year. So my dad said, one, this will help LT, talk and interact with people and learn the business at a young age, when it comes to promote, like advertisement. And also, it's a lot harder for somebody to say no to a kid than,
Right.
So then they used to drive around Springfield and Adams and Greenbrier and Jolton and send my little ass in there to tell them about the big wrestling event coming to the beautiful center, downtown Springfield. And I used to hang up the posters, man, at a young age, man. And then 2001, I started, selling programs and helping out more at the gimmick tables, And that right there is kind of, that was a learning experience for me. That's, being able to go to the back and maybe hang out in the back and listen to psychology and finishes, and Tracy Smothers, that was his hometown, Springfield, Tennessee, and Chris Michaels and all those guys. Rerun Hatchet, I guess that's where he kind of, popped up. 2002, 2003, he started working for my dad, and we all, I've always heard stories about Hurricane Hatchet and the beautiful drop kick and how the Jarretts loved him, So he's one I kind of kept my eyes on,
Yeah.
And sure enough, man, just, helping out. And then, Madison, I was playing the music and, helping paper the town. And right there, at the young age of only 14, some guys, they had negative things to say about it, but 14 years of age, right there in Madison, 110 Harris Street, I had my first ever match against Eron Hatchet,
Nice. Yeah.
Man, another thing about being a kid and being able to kind of go, it was Tennessee Fairgrounds, the Asylum, TNA, the pay-per-views. My dad used to, he used to do the gorilla position with Bill Behrens.
Uh-huh.
So he used to pick me up. As soon as I got out of school, he'll pick me up and take me to the fairgrounds, and I'll be in there before the doors opened. And, man, just all the guys I got to meet and watch and listen to,
Yeah.
I was a big mark for the, Lucha and the X Division,
Yeah.
So being able to see, Christopher Daniels, Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, and all them go over spots, and I used to, always be sure to run over there and kind of introduce myself and talk to people, probably gave a few of them some headaches, but everybody was nice to me, and the disciples of the new church, man, TNA, man. And I remember talking to Kid Cash and Scott D'Amore one time, and I was getting ready to go into my first match, and Sabu walked up to me, and he was like, well, I hope it goes good. Good luck to you. But he was like, the sooner you get in, you're going to get burnt out. The sooner you're going to want to get out of this business, And I would never forget, hear, Sabu telling me that, the sooner you get in, the sooner you're going to want to get out.
Is it true?
I'm so blessed.
Is it true?
Man, I was having fun. Fun, dude.
Yeah, I don't think that was a factor for me either. I mean, I was
still
15.
love the business. But 14 years of age, and I was, and the thing was, man, it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to training, dude, there's so many guys that helped me out. My whole childhood, my dad's like locking up with me, doing chain wrestling, teaching me terminology and stuff, right?
Right.
And then
right.
The proper school we had at the venue, my dad's building, was a guy named John Caesar, from Kentucky.
Yeah.
He was a good head. Y'all remember him a little bit?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, and he used to always, go up to Heartland and do different seminars with Steamboat and Harley Race.
What lawyers? Caesar.
I'm so sure about that.
I'm thinking of the right dude, but maybe not.
Yeah, him and Larry Valentine did a little tag stint. The Heartbreakers. I mean, good physique, good guy. He was a shoot amateur wrestler, and then been in the business. He was a good hand, but he helped me out with so much. And then Dustin Phillips, Slacker J.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, Kid Cash. He was running the school in my dad's building, so it's my dad's ring, my dad's building. I'm able to kind of jump in the classes, registering and selling and helping me out. Man, there's so many people. Mark Anthony, Tracy Smothers, so many guys helped me out with, training. And then finally, I got you never stop learning in this business, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Never stop learning. But having my first match right there in 2003, August 29th, is Eron Hatchet, also known as Norway Havoc.
Yeah. Eron's great.
And then I did a few months right there in Madison, and on Friday nights, and I used to go down to Columbia, Tennessee on Saturdays and do a few shots.
Right.
And then check this out. I was working out before the doors opened. I'm not sure why, but I did like a little plancha, like a little dive over the top to the floor.
Yeah.
I landed on my feet and snapped my damn ankle, man. Nothing major, just kind of sprung my ankle, but instantly I got, black and blue, bruising and swelling, and, I just sprung my ankle. Stuff happens.
Right.
But the guy that ran the building, Tennessee has no athletic commission. You could be any age to be even though it's like a man's business, you should be of age. I was a young punk kid. It's my dad's promotion. I would never do anything, but being a minor, the guy was like, man, I don't know if this is the best deal, the future lawsuits and things. So the guy put the block on my dad using anybody under the age of 18. So after I got my feet wet, been working for a few months, messed up my ankle. I had to take a few weeks off, but then I'm told I can no longer work for my own family promotion in this building here in Madison, right?
Because he was out there doing planches before the doors open.
and then, yeah, man. But then that's when we kind of have some things going. You know, Madison was going there for a minute, man. You have Porter running down the street, Byrd Prentice at the Stadium Inn, and then my dad right there in Madison. But we had Slash. We had, Norrie, making stars and having guys like Beautiful Bobby and Kid Cash and Ricky come in. And I think we had a nice little show every Friday night right there in Madison. That's the time I wanted to be in the back, sharing the locker room with you guys and working and, trying to have my little spotlight at a young age. But, man, I went back to just playing music on Friday nights and spent my Saturdays going to Columbia. And then it was a place called SWA, Tim Scruggs in Gallatin, Tennessee.
Okay.
It was a little stepping stone. I went there for about a year and a half, 2 years, never got paid a dime. Talking about paying dues, right? Never got a damn payoff from this promotion.
Did you say Mike Porter? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah. He comes down the line. But Tim Scruggs, man, it was a stepping stone. Never got paid a dime, but hey, man, I was ahead of the game. Spend money to make money. Speculate to accumulate. I had gimmicks, man. I had 8x10, 4x6 photos. I was loving it, making a few bucks, right? And being able to get some ring time. And then down the line, here comes the Stadium Inn, the infamous Stadium Inn. Yeah. Right?
Boom. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
10 I know Wolfie pops when I talk about like 10 Interstate Drive in the corner of James Robinson Parkway, exit 48 off I-24,
Yeah.
Man, just a young punk kid in 2005, beginning to, work. And I'm just so blessed to have been in there with some of the guys, I've had matches with and got to learn from,
Yeah,
super blessed, man. Chris Michaels, Jeff Daniels, Farron Fox, Tim Ernesto, Wolfie. Man, I got to work with you, got to team up with you there. Not to sound like a Mizart, but, you've been one of my childhood favorites, and then you and I are teaming up there, and they put the tag team titles on us, right?
Nice.
There's not such thing as really sounding, I don't think, like a mark unless you've absolutely never been in the business or whatever. You've been in the business, and all that's called is just respect, bro. I mean, I guess you could call me a mark for certain people that were in it before I was and things like that. And highlights from my career are being with some of those people that I got to meet after the fact. So I don't think you could say that really.
We're not. And then just being able to, take trips with guys and share locker rooms with them and get to know them on a personal level. But man, that Stadium Inn, man, Yvonne Hatchett, Farron Fox, Matt Dillinger, Mitch Ryder, I could go on and on. Hot Rod Biggs, Tommy Higgy, all the guys I got to work with that's been around and bumping and making me look good, helping teach me and. Yeah. And then a few young guys that are doing pretty good for themselves, like WWE's Ricochet.
Yeah, Chuck
Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm glad, I got to work with those guys, and everybody's doing well for themselves now. So Stadium Inn is, positives and negatives about that place, but a lot of, a lot of memories for Stadium Inn. And one of my best memories is, when Joseph Hudson, also known as Joe Cephas, that's where he came into our lives.
I was fixing to go to that. Yeah. Our boy Joe Cephas, God bless him, man. I miss him, man. I do. I actually just thought of him the other day, and that's not, it happens, occasionally that I'll just go, damn, man, I wish I could call Joe Cephas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because he was one that he's just one that I, one of those people that I could call and just say what's up to. And I don't have a lot of people from the wrestling business that I do that with, but he was one of them. And I could just, hey, what's up, man?
Of course, man. I think about him every day. My 13-year-old daughter, her screensaver on her cell phone is like a collage, and there's pictures of her and her great grandmother. There's pictures of her and Joe Cephas on that, man.
That's awesome.
That's my daughter. He meant so much to the Falk family, and I know he thought a lot of us. He thought a lot of you. Hell, Wolfie, if I'm correct, I think I'm the one that introduced you and Joe. Right?
That's awesome.
I think so. Yeah. I just remember going to going to Memphis. Yeah, because it was probably at the stadium, and actually, like, it was on during the day when there wasn't a show or something like that, maybe.
Way before that, brother. I mean, it was stadium end time, but and I remember it like it was yesterday, man. You and I was booked for Chris Kern, a little show in Fayetteville, Fayetteville, and before Joe ever started training, dude, before he ever started training, he drove you and I, him and that girl Cheryl, the first girl he was with. I don't know if you remember her, but drove you and I to Fayetteville for Chris Kern. And Joe was just a cameraman, and helping out. But, the hair, he was beginning to kind of grow the beard and just his structure, he was a big boy, right? And I remember everybody's looking, saying, who is he? What is he? Where is he from? I was getting ready to kind of do some training, but they thought he was somebody then, And,
totally.
And Wolfie, I know you've been through a lot, man, and all the people you meet and things you do, man. But you, Josephus, and I, man, taking trips to Evansville, Indiana, and and just earlier, today, I was thinking one time you and I and Josephus, we went to Lewisburg, Tennessee, and we broke down on the way home, and his girl Cheryl had to come get us.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you just we broke down coming back, and she went and got us.
That's
Speaking of Lewisburg, I had to put this in there. So many guys I got to work with as a kid, but 2007, Lewisburg, Tennessee, my first time ever working as a heel, I was in there with Jamie Dundee, right?
Nice.
I've always been a baby face, the son of the promoter, fan favorite, the Nashville sensation, LT Falk, and then finally I did like 2 or 3 gimmicks under the hood to do some jobs for a few guys, and then finally I got to be myself and got to be a heel the very first time in Lewisburg against the one and only Jamie Dundee, man. I had to put that out there because,
we've heard of him, right?
How'd that go, LT?
Oh, it was good, dude. I mean, the shit talking, healing, easy Memphis match, man. It's cool that I could say my first ever match as a heel was with Jamie,
Yeah.
And dude, I could sit here and go on and on about, how lucky I am, how blessed I am, fortunate enough to work some of the guys I've worked and learn from them because, man, I'm not trying to name drop, but dude, I've been in there with, you, Wolfie, Bill and Jamie, Jerry and BC, Ricky and Robert, like the list goes on and on of some of the Memphis greats, guys that, paved the way for so many people that my young crazy ass had the chance to work with.
What's cool too is I know that you kind of helped some guys out yourself, like Josephus and some others that you helped out. So, it all goes full circle, man. Full circle, man.
Right, man.
When I met Josephus, real quick, I'm going to say this. Yeah. I came to Nashville in a band. That's the reason I moved to Nashville and got to meet you guys. And I was playing at the Springwater Supper Club, and I saw this guy. He was probably about my same height, 6'3", 6 something like that. And he looked at me, and he was wearing a trucker hat, and he was wearing a flannel shirt, and my band just finished, and he comes up to me and he's like, hey, my name is Joe, and you guys, and this is a horrible Josephus impersonation, but you guys kind of remind me of Jesus Lizard. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he was like, yeah, it's really good stuff. And I was like, cool, man. I said, do you play? And he was like, yeah, I play music, but I'm actually starting wrestling. I'm a cameraman for the Falks. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Because I was not only a musician, I was a massive wrestling mark. And so he's like telling me all this stuff about working for you guys as a cameraman. And then he was like, you ought to come out. And I would come out to the stadium and check out the stuff. And then I end up meeting you guys in the Great Escape when I was working there. But it's just such a small world how things work, it's crazy.
Hey, let me tell you, I wanted him, you talk about that trucker hat. Yeah. I was dead set. I really and I took him to Memphis to do it and had him on the TV there that, I guess it was Lawler that had it for a minute. And I can't remember the name of the venue. LT probably does. But I wanted him to go with, Josephus like Bocephus. And, right. And I wanted him to have the trucker hat and the flannel shirt and the glasses and go more along those lines of Hank and a truck driver sort of gimmick. and everybody else, I guess, and him was so dead set on the Brody thing. And I'm still not sure that my idea wasn't better, but he did what he did. You know, he did it great and all that good stuff, and he got over. But I just think that the other, that was just my thing. I was like, man, I wish you would do it this way. But everybody was dead set on the Bruce Brody gimmick. So, but yeah, that was my thing about him. And I said, man, I wish you just do it this way. And he, you know, like I said, we got along great, you know that. But that was my one argument with him. I was like, man, I wish he'd do it this way.
then he got famous as a question mark. So who could have guessed that one? You know?
Yeah, right.
So I'm happy for him, man. He really got it. You know?
Put him in a question mark outfit. Yeah. Brilliant fucking booking.
Yeah. hey, man, it got him over. That's all that matters to me. You know, I love that he was doing that like shaman gimmick or whatever he was doing for a minute. I thought that was cool. But anyway, Dark Side of the Ring, our boy did well, man. I'm
did.
Proud.
He got me on a damn cool music video and
exactly. Yeah,
all that stuff. So yeah, he was always
everything, man. The music, you know, I did a music video with them for I think Patrick Sweeney.
Exactly.
Joe did the lamb chop, and just all the, you know, man, Joe, you know, needed ring time and exposure. He was, I guess, because I was booking him as a driver, you know, all the Mitch Ryder, Indiana towns, Evansville, and all the trips Wolfie and Joe and I made, and just hanging out. You know, he lived not too far from me, so we used to always grab a bite to eat. You know, even a time or two, he did try to take me to the gym. If anybody knows, I mean, man, God, dude, never had the body. You know, I've always been my own worst enemy. But Joe tried a time or two to get me in the gym and share knowledge with me, and just a friendship. All the Uncle Tony, Walter the Tire Irons.
You just brought up a question for me that I was actually thinking about asking you. Now, like in my career, there's obvious things that a lot of people know about me that, you know, I was my own worst enemy in certain cases. Now, do you think that, first of all, why do you think that it was such a hassle maybe or whatever for you not to get to the gym? And let's say you did go to the gym and, you know, get all gassed up or whatever, just get in really good shape. Do you think your career could have turned out differently?
Yeah, man. People ask me all the time, like, man, you know, you know quite a bit about the business. You're a good hand. You can talk the talk.
Right.
Plus, you know, your father, so many people have good things to say about him, name, connections. Why the hell did you not try to make it or do anything? Well, man, there's nobody to blame but me. I'm responsible for my own actions. You know, it was just lack of confidence. Some of the stuff I know now, if I knew then, it would be a totally different ball game, you know, especially when it comes to fitness, you know, like, you know, even wrestling to the side, looking good is good, but feeling good is great. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Right.
And we're in a new year. So, dude, I do want to get my stuff together and, it's never too late to turn a negative into a positive, you know?
Never.
Exactly. I don't mean it like that. I just mean...
Yeah, but the body, it was a number of things. It was me not having the physique. I kept telling myself, oh, man, should I send anything? Should I send out some emails, send out any tapes? Man, let me just hold off until I start working out. Let me lose a little bit of weight, tighten up, build muscles, get a tan, you know, and then try to send some stuff out, you know? It was all kinds of things, you know. I could sit here and go on and on and on about missed opportunities and mistakes I've made, but man, you know, never once have I, you know, I never try to get a job. I never try to, you know, bug anybody, dude.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I mean, you had straight connections, man. I mean, a lot of those guys, just because of the respect for your dad, they would have got you a shot, at least to try out or whatever. So, I just always kind of wondered that. And by no means am I knocking you because, hell, there's plenty of things could be said about me and things I've done, but you know, or didn't do, and that same shit. But anyway, Jimmy, do you got a last question for him? And because LT, this has been awesome, and time's kind of flown by. And I don't know about you, Jimmy, but I think
can I say this real fast, man?
Yeah,
course.
About the, especially if there's some young guys listening to this and think, I mean, it was just, lack of confidence, man. And I got spoiled. I should have started traveling and trying to branch out. I've got to go to some different states and work for some great promotions. And then there was other times where I think the money wasn't there, and I was getting spoiled because, I wasn't making the best payoffs down here with, Burt Prentice, Mike Porter, and my dad, but I was doing good on gimmicks, and I was, trying to be a big fish in a small pond. I was spoiled. I was young, dumb, and full of, and even, brother, even at the, had my first child at the age of 17 years of age, had my first daughter, and even had a temporary full custody. And I was just so much running through my mind. Like, do I want to leave my family? Do I want to relocate? It's a number of things. But the thing is, especially if there's young guys listening now, I mean, man, you just have to go with the flow. You have to trust the process. You have to give it a chance, man.
Yeah.
I held myself back. My Jeff Jarrett would talk to my dad from time to time, and he'll put me over, and then my dad will start saying good things about me, putting me over. Then he'll start complaining, my damn son doesn't want to go to the gym, doesn't want to do this, doesn't. And Jeff is like, Tony, sounds like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, but yeah, man. But trust me, you got to look the part, play the part, and you have to, at least try to get your name out there, man. And I was just so spoiled, man. So many things I turned down, when it comes to extra spots or working for a better promotion that was many, 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 many miles away. The TV exposure, publicity would have been good, but I'd rather just stay home, go 10 minutes down the road, and make this payoff that was pretty decent and with gimmick sales. But, oh, man, you have to eat it sometimes, man.
Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah. Well, you bringing all that up, and you're talking about father and son. And Wolfie and I, we talk about this often, how we're kind of perplexed by the father-son wrestling relationships. So, obviously Jerry and Brian weren't always, sometimes it was a little awkward with them, and Jamie and Bill, how there's just an interesting, it seems like you and your dad kind of skirted that a little bit. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that it's a weird thing, father and son wrestling relationships? And it feels like, to me, you guys kind of, I don't know, either we're just not naturally going to be like that competitive nature about you, or maybe because your pops was a little bit out of it, or the time you got in it. I mean, what do you think, and how do you think you guys were able to be, you still talk. I see you pictures, go to movies and have fun all the time. Talk about, I guess, the father-son relationship as far as that goes. Yeah.
Well, brother, just growing up, I mean, it was like, one of my best friends, one of my idols, I had guys like, Billy Joe Travis and, those are my favorites. I thought the world of my dad, man. And all the trips and wanting to be like him, dude. I remember being in the car with my dad and Billy Joe Travis, and Billy would take us out with Bob's Gold Card. Wolfie, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bob's Gold Card. Wolfie would take us out, buy us lunch, and I always used to look up and say, I'm going to be a wrestler like my dad. We're going to do this. And, the Wolfie and, Wolfie and stepdad Pete, and Jamie and Bill used to always say second generation wrestler is going to happen. So then, sure enough, by 2003, when I started, my dad, wasn't really doing much. So it wasn't, it was more promoting and helping me out. Some spots, I'm glad I finally got to share some spotlights with them, and those are some of my best memories, being at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, working for a place called Freedom Pro. You had Tony Falk's Nashville Legacy versus Vince Russo's Northern Aggression, and shot this angle, and right there at the historic Tennessee State Fairgrounds in front of a good house, my father and I winning tag team championships, together,
Yeah.
And being able to team with them. And then, but we did a time or two, we did have some father and son matches, so I even got to work my dad, and do little, cocky, conceited punk son, my dad needs to put me in my place. I've had some, but it was never no competition thing. It was never no, I go here, he goes. Hell, man, one time Mike Porter, dude, he kept me busy. Mike Porter was putting a lot of investments in me. Some say he was probably loving that ponytail a little too much,
Oh, Lord.
But
I think probably you're right. Yeah.
Mike Porter, God bless him. But brother, some of these guys were shit if they knew what I was getting paid and plus all the gimmick sales he was trying to help me out with. And
hold on, if you're saying Mike Porter and paid, I'm absolutely shocked. So yes,
brother, I promise.
I believe you. I believe you.
Yes. He helped me out, and then I guess he had some hookups, had some print shops. He used to give me all these damn boxes of 8x10s. I didn't pay for any of that, man. So whatever I sold it for was a profit. Man, we had our ups and downs, but taking me to like NWA Birmingham for Linda Marks, me getting to work with guys like, Edith Skipper, and being able to share a locker room with Adrian Street and Miss Linda, nice, Porter tried to help me out. He was going on and on about trying to get Mike Quackenbush to come down here with that junior heavyweight title. He was really going out trying to help me out. But then, my father promoted Stadium In on Fridays and Saturdays, and that's when I started helping out in the locker room. Now, some guys, I think they had a thing to say about that, taking direction and, me calling some, but really my dad was super glued to that damn ticket table. It was just him relaying messages, giving me finishes and me relaying messages.
Yeah.
But then down the line, I did get to become a little creative and help out with some booking. And there was so many guys like Wolfie and Kroll and, Quentin Charisma. And Tim Renesto, Richard Mike White, so many guys was there backing me and kind of helping me out, Gordon Dunaway. So you could say I was an agent, but what a learning experience that was for me being a young kid, kind of running the locker room and, giving out some finishes and being the bump monkey for the training school. And then, sharing knowledge. I knew enough for, foundation, building blocks. You got to learn how to crawl before you can walk. But like Wolfie said earlier, I have trained a few guys and helped a few guys out. I'm glad to be part of their history. Yeah, but back to the Porter thing. So I was having so much fun there with my dad, booking in the back, working for him, and family comes first in my book. But Mike Porter was moving one of his Tuesday night fairground shows to like Laverne, I believe. He was doing some Saturday stuff and some tapings, and he wanted me to kind of like leave my family promotion and go work for him. So, man, I think if I leave, my dad needs me. Could that create a little heat? Could we have some problems, or would my dad want me to go somewhere different, change up scenery and make some of that money I was making with NWA main event? But no, I chose to stay with my dad. And Mike Porter, not face to face, not in a phone call. He fired me in a damn text message, He let me go because I chose my dad. But, you never say never in this business. Years later, we, patched things up, and I started working for him a little more, and that's where he introduced me to which I knew growing up, Christopher Love, Burt Prentice, right?
Yeah.
And because of Porter down the line, that's where I got to meet and work for USA Wrestling and Burt Prentice, and he's another one that, I owe a lot to, booking me against the King and Rock and Roll Express versus LT and Chris Michaels at the Omen in Jackson, managed by Tony Falk. Man, these guys, there's always ups and downs. Every relationship's going to have some problems, but man, both of them are gone, man. We lost, we lost Porter and Burt Prentice. Hell, Bobby and Burt in the same day, right?
I know. Yeah. So are you the reason that you couldn't work for Tony and Porter at the same time? Are you the reason? I think you might be.
Oh, no, man. Hell, man, I remember when I was a kid before I ever started working, there was some issues about, that the whole putting a block on the talent. If you work for them, King worked for me. I remember like 2001, some shit went down and Porter got mad and left, and my dad was kind of by himself and, had to go out there and get all the things he needed to run a show, because he was always, Porter was helping him out with like, the liability and the insurance, and my dad was renting the ring from Mike Porter, but when Porter got upset, he left, and my dad had to, get a few sponsors, a few guys helped us out, and we got everything we needed to do our own Real Falkin Wrestling, And that's when Porter, my dad, hell, we don't care, man. As long as you show up for us and be professional and leave the drama at home. Any other night, any other town, go make money, dude. But Porter was the one, and we understand the whole, the principle of the business, and sometimes, but Porter was but years later, yeah, Mike Porter, if you work for them, you can't work for them.
I know. Trust me, I heard it all the time. And you know what's so funny is you have relayed matches and ideas for what you wanted the finish to me when you guys hired me to work there for a little while with my crew of guys, and we were working out in Millersville at the sawmill at that time, and it was a blast. And I finally got to check the USWO off my box, my bucket list. So it was important.
Forgive me, Jimmy. So Stadium Inn, did you do nothing else? You did a little something at Stadium Inn? No? Nope,
I didn't, because the timing, the way that it worked out was I went from Porter to TJ, okay. And then I kind of got out because of my shoot job, and then I came back with USWO, and it had moved to Millersville. I'd only paid, which some people should say I should have stayed in the seats probably, but I'd only paid to watch wrestling at the Stadium Inn. I'd never worked there. I wish I had have, but yeah.
I guess Porter's Trinity Lane, I remember all those times seeing you at the Great Escape, and then Trinity Lane, Porter's, and then Millersville for, Saul and USWO.
Yep,
Jimmy,
where I met Wolfie D.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And Jimmy, do you remember giving me a necktie?
I do, man. Yeah.
Do you remember why you gave me the tie?
Yeah, well, I do remember. Hold on. Remind me, LT. I'm sorry. I know this story.
So I owe this business so much, the friendships I've made, and there's places I go, not to sound like because I'm nobody, but, especially in my area, my town, I go places and people's like, oh, Stadium Inn, the fairgrounds, LT Falk, they know me.
Yeah.
But if they don't know me, the way I walk, the way I talk, the douchebag affliction, American Fighter stuff, the ponytail, they're like, man, look at RVD, look at Shawn Michaels over there. I'm like, I'm no RVD, I'm no Shawn Michaels, my name's LT, and I am an independent pro wrestler. And then I start selling and promoting myself,
Yeah.
But back to the, I thought this was so cool. This is one of the things that means a lot to me. There's a father and son, Chris and John Donaldson, big, super supporting fans of the Middle Tennessee area. The kid is not mentally challenged, but he's physically challenged, right?
Okay,
so in the wheelchair, he graduated, many years ago from Hillsborough High School. Not his father, not his teacher, but me, LT Falk, his favorite wrestler. They chose me to push him down the aisle to get his diploma. So, man, I had a few dress clothes, but I didn't have no damn neckties. I couldn't find any of my ties. So you doing the manager gimmick and having that tie, I remember you gave, I was like, hey, man, I could go to the store, and buy me a tie, or could you lend me this one,
Of course.
And I would never forget it, man. It was like last minute, the night before, I couldn't find my tie. At the show in Millersville, you gave me a tie, and I wore that tie and dressed up, going to this kid's graduation, pushing him down the aisle to get his diploma. And,
that's awesome.
I wouldn't have been his favorite wrestler and wouldn't have had that connection if it wasn't for this business. You know what I mean? So little things like that,
Dude, that's awesome. I'm so glad you told that story, man.
Yeah. And then all the other stuff, man, it could have been, should have been, missed opportunities, man. I never want to get stuck on a negative, and you can't talk about the past, but
right.
A lot of stuff that could have been different,
Well, hey, I'll tell you,
the people I've worked with,
yeah.
I'll tell you, man. You're saying about people recognize you, whatever. I guess it's been, I don't know, a few weeks ago, around before Christmas, a little bit before Christmas. My daughter Casey texted me and she said she was at Opryland. I don't know if you were, but she said, I'm pretty sure LT Falk's in front of me right now. And I said, hand him the phone, and I forget what I said, but she wouldn't do it. But I don't know. Was you at Opryland in some kind of line or something?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, man, we went out as a family, checked out the lights.
I'm sure she knew it was you. But
I hope she's doing well, man. I hope Tracy's doing well.
Yeah, she is, man. She is.
To speak and say hello.
She's doing good, man. But yeah, man. Hey, Jimmy, I'm the booker on this show, so if we don't stop now, we're gonna go way over our time, and then I'm gonna be pissed. No, I'm just kidding. But we do need to cut it right here because we've already got. We'll put you. But LT, what about this? Why don't you work on this? Let's get you and your dad on together.
Okay, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That would be instead of a part 2 for you or a part 2 for, because we've only done one with, so that'd be a part 2 for both of you, and we have you both on at the same time. Y'all can feed off each other. Me and Jimmy probably wouldn't have to say anything.
I'm sorry for being all over the place. Like sometimes it's good to kind of.
Dude, this was great. Yeah.
No, I think me and Jimmy could just sit here and be quiet if we had both of y'all on.
Man, we could go on people we met, guys we've worked with, and just funny stories. I didn't get to talk about any of the ribs we've pulled on people and shit that's happened to us. But hey, man, I've had a blast. I mean, talking, and Jimmy Street, Wolfie D, Living in Color. Thank you guys, man. I would totally, plant the seed, a father and son. Have you guys done that before?
No.
Shared split episode,
Yeah.
We only had one. No, we had the Headbangers on together. But that's a
the Wild Boys. We had the Wild
Boys. And then, but I'm talking about we had Ronnie Garvin and George Weingroff together, and that was George could kind of help Ronnie along a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this would be the first father and son. Yeah. It would be, Tony is like number 5 or number 4, number 5 all time for our downloads. I mean, he's well into the thousands of downloads for that episode. So and I'm expecting big numbers for this one. Not that that's required, but what I mean by that is I just know how much people care about you guys, and I think that would be a great show, man. I'll love
talking about some of the people we've helped, man. I want to talk about this guy named Michael Pleasing that passed away 10 minutes after him and I had a match. Man, there's so much we could talk about. So let's try to make something happen, man. Yeah, everybody has a story to tell.
Listen, I know how it is,
people
man.
Matter. Yeah.
If you think of something one day, write it down. Shit like that, what you just said, write that shit down. Yeah. So then when we get ready to do it, you don't forget it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I'm just saying this.
With my dad.
Yeah,
I need to start doing stuff with my dad.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I'm just saying this. Wolfie doesn't always do this, so it is definitely, he means it when he says that he wants to have y'all on. So
absolutely,
man.
This will be fun.
Sure.
But thank you, LT. Yeah.
I've always
you guys for having me, and hopefully here in the near future, father and son. Some real Falkin stories. We'll talk your heads off. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great, man. And I always loved your dad. He's always been good to me. I always loved you to death, man. So I appreciate it. And I know Jimmy does too. So
absolutely.
All right, buddy. You'll be on
supporters.
Be watching
people listening to us.
And we'll be the show come on next Monday.
Awesome. Once again, thank you guys, man. And I hope 2024 is good to both of you.
Definitely. Right, you too, brother. Thank you.
Keep in touch, man. Communication is everything. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
This has been a James Rock Street production.